Good evening, everybody. Welcome to episode 61 of the Drew Pavlis Show. Let me know how the audio is, how the video is. The setup is a lot better now. I'm streaming for the first time from my PC, which is really cool. Very happy with it. G'day, Steve. Let me know. Do you guys hear the? Is this okay with the audio and whatnot? Let me know, please. Sounds good. Cool. This is the first time that I'm using my new PC. I'm very excited. Very exciting. How much better is this angle? The angle is so much better. We're using the PC. It's so much faster. It's actually beautiful, guys. It's actually beautiful. We've got how many people have tuned in so far? We've got 165 on Twitter, 11 on YouTube. Guys, if you're on YouTube, please leave a like on the YouTube stream. Very important. Leave a like on the YouTube stream. Helps us reach more people. If you're on Twitter, please go to my YouTube link. I'll post that now. And then we'll get into it. I'm going to be covering the Iran-Israel conflict, the bombing that took place today, targeting Tel Aviv. Very crazy times right now that we're living through. Chris, how much better is this setup? This setup is fucking beautiful. I love it, guys. I love it. It's fucking beautiful. It's a great setup. The new angle is so much better, I think. The new angle is so much better. I feel so much happier with how this setup is. It's fucking beautiful, actually. It's actually fucking beautiful. Just going to post the link on YouTube. Streaming live. 1 second. Sorry, control. Damn, I love this new setup. It's so much better. I still a few things to iron out. Still a few things that we need to improve, but it's a lot better already. I reckon it looks a lot more professional. Looks crisp. Looks nice. Very happy. I'll post the Discord link as well. We've got 300 people who've tuned in so far on Twitter. Thank you for tuning in. We've got 16 people watching live on YouTube. Go through, leave a like on the YouTube, guys. Very important. The camera angle is looking straight down on your nuts. That's good. That's masculine energy. We're building up. We're allowed. We're asserting our masculine dominance over the world. Another nothing but massively. Did you get the stripper poll put in yet? I don't know what this guy's talking about, but how much better is this stream? My God, I'm so happy. I've got to quickly post the link to Discord too. 1 second. Guys, how is everyone? Hello, Massimo. Thanks for tuning in. So much to cover. Big times. Some guy says that he pays streamers less than he pays strippers. Very powerful. Cover the most awaited news of the day, the Drew Pavlis Casey McGregor war. I will cover it. It'll be funny. We'll cover it. He's a cringe lord. He actually is a lolcow. People call me a lolcow. This guy actually is a lolcow. Hang on. I just quickly send it to everybody in my Discord, the link. All right. Beautiful. Didn't you stream with Casey McGregor? I did, actually. I did. Hang on. I'll quickly show everybody this. Twitter. Okay, let me quickly show everybody. So this is very important news. I believe that the people of the world are very interested in this news, maybe even more interesting than the events of the past 24 hours in Israel. Angle could be slightly more horizontal, less floor. I think it's better to put my balls in it because then I can kind of assert dominance over the stream. What do you guys think? I think it's actually better. I think it's actually better if I put my balls in the camera view. All right. Okay. So the Casey McGregor thing. This is very important. A lot of people are asking about it. He deleted his post. So sad. So Casey McGregor, well-known communist. What's the most sick and depraved thing you've jerked it to? Do you want me to be honest? Yes, please. Sonic the Hedgehog porn. That's not good. It's not good. If this is the best that the communists are sending, they're not sending the best, are they? Easy Money says, challenge him to another debate about his fetishes. I'd love to debate him about that. Very interesting. Very interesting. Why I didn't get your live notification on Twitter? I'm not sure. But look, you should turn on notifications for YouTube. It's very important. Is he any relation to Conor McGregor? I don't think so, actually. I don't think so. Beautiful, guys. We've got 32 people watching live on YouTube. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. This is the first stream on my new PC setup. It looks so much nicer. Please leave a like on the YouTube stream. It's very important. The Drew Pavlis Show needs your help to grow, and you can help us grow by leaving a like on the channel. Any new wars started since I've slept? We're going to be covering the Iran-Israel thing. Is it late evening, early night in Australia? So right now it's 9:55 p.m. in Australia. I could have streamed earlier today, but unfortunately I was setting up my PC and everything, but finally we're able to get into it. Let me get up the BBC thing from before.
Hello, I'm Nikki Schiller. Welcome to the program. We start with our breaking news. Iran and...
So, guys, very, very big stuff. Iran, Israel. Hang on. Wait, how do I fix my fucking screen? Yeah.
Israel have been launching new strikes on each other as direct military conflict between the two countries goes into a second day. Now,
Australia just lost to South Africa in the cricket. Check to see if your sub is set to all. Pro cons of the Drew Pavlis Show. Pro, Drew is a good bloke and loves his guests. Drew, be careful when searching BBC on the stream. Okay, dude. The fact that the next major revolution that might happen, which will not happen, will be led by someone who is scooting to sonic porn is concerning. Yeah, very concerning, guys. Isn't it concerning? But listen, I've got big faith in Casey McGregor that he will lead a communist revolution in Australia. I'm sure he will. Con, retard has entered my vocab. I'm sorry for bringing that word back, but it's a very powerful word, isn't it? It's a good word. I think it has a lot of use in today's context. I see Daniel from Thailand. Thank you for joining us, Daniel from Thailand. And Lambros says hello from Cyprus. Hello, Lambros. How are you going? Good to see people from Cyprus, Cypreo. Beautiful stuff. Let's start covering the interesting...
I'll take you to the latest pictures in a moment, but we want to start with the key developments this hour. Iran has targeted ballistic missiles at Israel as its supreme leader vows to inflict heavy blows. It's now being reported that at least 3 people in Israel have been killed. The Israeli Defense Forces says it is continuing to strike targets in Iran. The IDF says they are aimed at removing threats.
Someone says hello from Atlantic City, New Jersey. Great to have some people from America in the stream. Thank you very much. Very cool. Very cool. We love our American friends, don't we? Thank you so much for that. Thomas says Jews cry out in pain as they strike you. So true, brother. So true. I think some of the Nick Fuentes audience maybe are crying and maybe they've joined the stream. So does Iran have a right to defend itself? Nope, because I'm simply against the Iranian government. What? I love this idea. I love this stupid new idea. Some people think, oh, so you want one team to win and one team to lose? You're a hypocrite. No, I just have a team. I'm sorry. Like you're watching Liverpool versus Manchester City and you're a Liverpool fan. Or so you're happy when Liverpool scores a goal and you're sad when Manchester City scores a goal. Isn't that a bit hypocritical? No, dude, I have a side. I'm on a side, okay? Like I'm on the side against the Iranian theocratic dictatorship. Very simple, very simple. I love this idea. You're watching Manchester United versus Liverpool. You're happy when your team goes 1-0 up and then Manchester United comes back, scores a goal. You're sad. You start moping around. Isn't that a bit hypocritical? No, it literally is not hypocritical, dude. You're just a Liverpool fan. Like how hard does it have to be, right? You have to debunk the Nick Fuentes was right about everything meme currently going around on Twitter. Dude, how cringe is that? That is the cringest shit ever. Like Nick Fuentes. Nick Fuentes posted one thing. Nick Fuentes posted, at some point in the next fucking 50 years, Iran will go to war with Israel. Holy fuck, dude. Holy fuck. Did you know that he's right? Holy shit. It's so easy you can go out there and be like, I think at some point in the next 3 years, like Israel will fight Iran. Holy fuck, dude. Wow. Nostradamus, gay Mexican Nostradamus has managed to see into the future. Like, that's so Raven. Peered into the future. Well, are you guys fucking kidding me? Seriously. Nick Fuentes went out there and he said, at some point in the next 50 years, there might be conflict between the country that says that they want to exterminate Israel and Israel. That's so Raven, dude. That's so Raven. It's peering into the future. Gay Mexican Nostradamus. It's fucking crazy, isn't it? Gay Mexican Nostradamus has peered into the future. Why is a genocidal apartheid state your team? I'm just simply against the Iranian dictatorship, dude. I'm just simply against the Iranian dictatorship. Seriously. Fuck you. Hello from Malaysia. Great to have somebody from Malaysia. Thank you, guys. We've got people from all around. Israel hitting Iran apartments was fine, but Iran attacking Tel Aviv too far, bro. Iran has lost the plot. It's the other way around, dude. It's the other way around. Israel's attacks on the apartment buildings in Israel's attacks on the apartment buildings in Tehran were really limited. If you look at some of the images, they hit like literally the one apartment building. They literally hit the exact apartment that they needed to hit to take out like a senior IRGC guy. IRCG guy. They literally hit just the apartment they need. And then meanwhile, like Iran just like strikes back with just like indiscriminate bombing fire against Tel Aviv. And people are like, wow, isn't that Israel? Wow, isn't that hypocritical? No, dude, no. Israel took out generals and then Iran responds by just like indiscriminately shooting rockets. Seriously, it's so different, dude. It's so different. Got 50 people watching live. Thank you, guys. 50 people watching live on the stream. Thank you so much. Guys, literally leave a like on the stream. It's very important for the Drew Pavlich Show. We need you to leave the like. Leave the like, and then YouTube will recommend us to more people. It's very important, very, very powerful. Drew can't explain Jews being expelled from 109 countries. Dude, this is like Nick Fuentes, white supremacy, shit posting. Look, at the end of the day, yeah, we all know that anti-Semitism exists. Yeah, Jews were persecuted in a lot of countries. What is that supposed to prove? Like, it's just anti-Semitism. Who cares? At least they're fighting back. At least they're fighting back against people who want to genocide them today. Do you support Nick Fuentes for being the anti-Trump voice on the right? It is a big tentative. Of course I'm not. Of course I'm against Nick Fuentes. You think I'm on Nick Fuentes' side? Are you fucking kidding me? I am brown like Fuentes. Wow, powerful, dude. Congratulations on you, man. Congratulations. We've got a brown guy in the chat who likes Nick Fuentes. Holy fuck. Holy fuck, guys. We've got a brown guy in the chat who likes Nick Fuentes. I think this is the first time in history that's ever happened. I think this is the first time in history it's ever happened. A brown man has liked Nick Fuentes. Holy fuck. Holy shit. So someone in the third world likes Nick Fuentes? Holy fuck, dude. Holy fuck. That's crazy. Who would have thought that? Someone in the third world likes Nick Fuentes? That's crazy. I don't think that's ever happened before. Have you ever traveled to America? I've traveled to America, but I haven't been to America since 2019. I'd love to go again. I love America. I'd love to go to America again. I hope that I don't get persecuted by the Trump government if I try and land in America. Can you imagine that? Oh, beautiful, guys. We've already got 21 likes on the stream. Thank you so much, guys. If you're watching the stream on YouTube, you have to leave a like. You have to leave the like. Thank you, guys. It's very important. If you're watching the stream on YouTube, if you want to support the Drew Pavlich Show, we're 61 episodes in out of 100-day live streaming challenge, 61 episodes in 61 days. If you can help, leave a like on the stream. Leave a like on the stream. It's very important, extremely important to help us reach more people. I'm actually very happy. We're starting to build. We're starting to build, and we're starting to hit around like 50 people average, which is really cool. Name any Muslim country you support. I like Syria. I'm very proud of the Syrian people for fighting against Assad. I also support the Uyghurs people against the Chinese Communist Party. You know what? I support the Chechens against Russia. Who's the most likely person to like Nick Fuentes? The most likely person to like Nick Fuentes is like a guy living in Mexico or like Iran. And they're like, wow, here's a like half white guy who hates Jews. Holy shit. That's like Jackson Hinkle's whole entire fan base. Jackson Hinkle's entire fan base. Oh, okay. Wait, I've just been informed. Guys. I've just been informed that Casey McGregor is available potentially to potentially join the stream. So I'm going to send it. Drew's just anti-Muslim because Turks raped his ancestors and now he's brown. Dude, you're fucking coping so hard. You're really sad that Iran didn't get a nuclear bomb. You're really sad. You're crying. So sad, dude. It's so sad. How sad is it, dude, that Iran didn't get a nuclear bomb? Oh my God, dude, it's so sad. They took out the fucking nuclear scientists and the top generals. I'm really crying right now. Holy fuck. This is so sad. Wow. Oh, it's because of Turkey. Fucking hell. So cringe. It's so funny, dude. It's so funny. Gout is amazing. Love Sonata. I like Gout. He's helping bring Australian athletics into the future. Good on him. Good on him. Great bloke. Let's see. Going through the news, I believe Casey McGregor is going to come on and he's going to debate me about Sonic the Hedgehog porn, which is really interesting. Good to hear. I'm very excited about that. Very excited about that. Look how funny this is. Iran just bombed Tel Aviv. Stay mad, Zogbot. I'm not even mad, dude. I'm not even mad. It's a war. It's a war. I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry. Like what? Israel takes out the entire top echelon of the Iranian military forces, and then Iran hits back by like just like hitting like a fucking beach ball over the net, just like retarded, just like random missile strikes against random places. They hit a Palestinian home in Jerusalem. Wow, dude. Wow. Iran's so powerful. Wow. I'm really, really upset. I'm actually fine right now. Yeah, we love Gout. Good on him. Good on him. You know what? I asked Gout if he'd come on the Drew Pavlis show. We'd love to have Gout on the Drew Pavlis show. Is there any news potentially about Gout? No, nothing. I was wondering why people would bring him up in the chat. I thought maybe he broke a new record or something like that. War is always a tragedy, Drew. Of course. It is a tragedy. I wish it wouldn't happen. But sometimes, listen, here's the thing, right? If sometimes when you're facing a genocidal enemy that want to kill you and kill your family and kill you and all the people you love, which is what Iran wants to do to Israel, then simple as you have to fight and you have to defeat them. And what? I'm gonna cry because Israel defeated Iran in a war. Israel defeated Iran in a war that Iran started. I'm not gonna cry. Why would I cry? When all this geopolitical stuff blows over, will you have Bonnie Blue on the stream, Drew? I debate it. I mean, what do you want me to talk to her about? I mean, it'd be interesting. Okay, we've got Casey here. We're going to add them to the stage. 1 second. This is very powerful, guys. We're going to quickly now listen, everybody. I know that the main stream today is going to be talking about Iran bombing Tel Aviv, but Casey McGregor, our friend of the show, communist friend of the show, he's popped in. And he wants to have a quick debate with me. I'm not sure what he wants to debate about, but we'll talk. Now, Casey, what's the latest here? I think you were doing something. You said something about jerking off to Sonic the Hedgehog porn. What's happening there?
Thing about years ago when I was still a weird, stupid adolescent with kinks.
Sorry, explain this a bit. But why did you tweet that you were jerking it to Sonic the Hedgehog porn?
I wasn't a tweet; it was a Discord message.
Right. Okay. Discord message. But what was the kind of what started this? Why is this happening?
I got asked a question and I answered honestly.
So you were asked what was the weirdest thing you've jerked to, and you said Sonic the Hedgehog porn.
Yeah.
Why did you say this in public, my friend?
Honesty.
Do you think this is going to help the communist revolution, Casey?
You say that like it relies on me.
I thought you were going to lead it. I thought you were leading the communist revolution in Australia, and you're going to overthrow the bourgeois decrepit state. Kick in the door, and the whole rotten structure falls down.
There are no leaders.
There are no leaders. Yep. Okay.
Casey, what did you mean when you said it's morally neutral to jerk off bulls and rape dairy cows? What did that mean?
You said that? Did Casey say that?
Is that not how we get our milk? Is that not how we get our milk?
Raping bulls?
As in, like, sticking, like, artificial insemination?
I don't think we jerk off dairy cows to. We don't use like cow cum
to get the
Wait,
I mean, I don't know. I don't drink cow cum. Maybe you do.
What? Wait, why is this?
Okay, the context of that one was quite literally just a debate over the ethics of, like, you know, how they like get cow milk.
And you said
How they
And you said
figuratively
that-
jerk off the cow to get the semen to artificially inseminate the female cow to get the milk. That's
And-
how they get milk.
What does this have to do? But you were saying that morally it was good to jerk off cows. I don't understand. What does
Morally
this have to do with
neutral, not
communism?
morally good. That was a completely different conversation. That was a ethics debate.
So if a bloke goes out there and decides to have sex with a cow, you think it's morally neutral?
I would say that's morally bad.
But you have defended
Okay, that's
bestiality
good.
before, right?
When did I defend bestiality? We had a discussion on the Discord server about this last night. It's not defending
said-
bestiality. I was talking about how utilitarianism fails to condemn it, famously, among
Oh.
other things.
So you don't defend bestiality and incest. You just say that other people defend it.
People who are utilitarians, and it's not that like they necessarily defend it, but they can't condemn it through their ethical worldview.
Okay.
Casey, in your communist utopia, when you take power, what will be the status of bestiality?
Illegal.
Okay, that's good. That's good. What about the ethics of Sonic the Hedgehog porn? Would that be legal in the communist society?
I mean, it's legal now. It's
Okay,
legal
that's good.
now.
Well, okay, that's good. That's good. All right.
Like,
Do we have much more to discuss or debate? In this
I just have one more comment by him.
Okay.
You said lollies aren't children, and what did you mean by that? Just for the people who don't know what a lolly is, it's the cartoon anime children that are very child-looking, and yeah.
a lolly, by definition, they look like children, but their canon age is like absurdly high. Often they're like angels or goddesses or something. So I was merely stating a definition.
Okay.
All
The
right. Okay.
definition of a lolly when it comes down to it.
Okay. Very good stuff. Thank you for joining us today, Casey. Is there anything you'd like to add before we maybe move on to the next segment? I think it is important that we did clarify your views on bestiality.
I think you're an imperialist chill and a fascist sympathizer.
Oh, okay. Do you want to maybe outline that a bit further before you go? I mean, that's a big claim, obviously.
I also think you should delete that post.
Which one?
The post with the screenshots.
Oh, of the Sonic the Hedgehog thing.
Yes.
Okay, maybe I will. Maybe I will. But
what was the point in posting that? What end were you trying to gain from that?
I just thought it was
Rather than
funny.
actually engaging with, like, you could have just laughed privately, but instead you decided to quote a completely unrelated topic about what's going on now, what you're evidently talking about here, and then.
Well, do you want to talk? Well, do you want to talk about the Iran-Israel conflict?
Well, Israel started it.
Okay,
It's
can you
really
explain
as
that
simple
a
as
bit
that.
to us? Okay, explain that to us.
Is that not obvious?
Well, yeah, just explain your claim. Explain it to us.
Well, did Iran provoke Israel?
Yes.
No, they were waiting for peace talks with Trump.
What was October 7? It was Iran provoking Israel.
No, that was Hamas.
Yeah, but Hamas is a proxy of Iran.
It's not a proxy, it's a separate group.
Well, it
It's
is a
funded by
proxy.
them, and
It's literally
It is
funded by them.
aligned. Okay, and Israel's funded by the US. Does that mean Israel is just an American proxy?
Well, you would claim it, right? You're the one that says that Israel's an American proxy.
I mean, I don't fully think it's an immediate proxy. I think it serves a broader role in American imperialism, but it is a separate state.
Okay, but do you think maybe Israel would have an interest in Iran not getting nuclear bombs, considering Iran has said that they will eradicate Israel if they get the chance?
Well, I think this had more to do with Greater Israel than with any real.
Oh, okay.
threat
Greater
from Iran.
Israel. Do you want to explain that a bit to us? That's interesting.
Well, the whole from the river to the river, Nile to the Euphrates.
You actually think that's true? Okay, that's that. If you believe that, you're mentally ill.
I
Dude.
think. I mean, it's only a thing now because of like the religious Zionists in the parliament because of Netanyahu.
But
Like,
you,
I'm not
you
saying
actually,
that. I'm not saying
you
that
actually
is an
think,
official
but you think they're going to
universal
try an ex,
policy across the parties.
but you think they're going to try an ex like Iraq.
Once they, I mean, didn't they try it before
When?
as
When
part of
did
the Iraq War? Like
No,
Israel
what are
was
you talking
involved in
about?
that, weren't they?
No, they weren't. What are you talking about?
Wait, do you think the Iraq War was an Israeli land grab?
They probably wanted it to be.
What are you
But
Why
talking
didn't?
about?
Why didn't?
obviously
Why
it turned
didn't?
out
Why
that
didn't
way.
they? Why didn't? Yeah, but if they wanted it to be, why didn't they send troops?
Probably wanted the US to fight their war for them. I mean, that tends to be the game plan when it comes to bigger wars. That's what they're probably going to bloody do now.
Yeah,
Get
Why
America to
didn't they?
come to their
Why
aid.
didn't they take Iraq then? They won the Iraq War, why didn't they take the land?
Because America won the Iraq War. And
You
it's
just said
still a
America
friendly
fights
regime,
for
they
Israel.
wanted oil.
Doesn't really make
No,
much
their
sense, does it,
interest-
Casey?
Their interests in the region are aligned. That is
Okay.
why the US supports Israel tooth and nail, because their interests in the region are aligned.
You just
yeah,
said
almost
Israel's
perfect.
interests
Okay.
are
It's
to
only-
expand itself into Iraq, and they didn't. So
That's what you
clearly
think.
they aren't
That-
aligned, right?
Well, I mean, like
Well, also,
you think that Iraq? You thought you? I mean, you'll think.
well,
Your thought.
Greater Israel has only been a thing that's actually been overly relevant now with the religious Zionists in government because of Netanyahu.
Oh, okay. So
Like, if
religious
you had a
Zionists just
different- if
entered
you had a
government
different-
this year, was
If
it?
you had the opposition in power, it would just be normal.
So you think Netanyahu wants to take Iraq and make it a part of Israel?
Yeah, that's
Based on what?
like, I'd say Netanyahu doesn't want it, but there are people in the government that do. People in his government that do and are trying to get him to do it. People in the religious Zionist parties.
I just like, but can you just give it? But it's not your claim that just some people in the Israeli government want this. I mean, your claim is like this is the direct foreign policy of the Israeli government.
These are
That's what you're saying.
people with power. These are people with power. Ben
Okay, but you're
Gvir was
saying
religious Zionist.
but you're saying that Israel's entire foreign policy is directed around annexing land in Iraq.
No, I'm not saying.
Yeah, you are. You said the
You
reason
literally
why
just
these
said it.
strikes against Iran happened was because they wanted to do a greater Israel.
That, yeah, that's just like it's to get Iran out of the way because the nukes would be a deterrent.
Against the greater Israel,
Yes.
right? But you just said that it isn't in their like main foreign policy wanting to make a greater Israel. So I'm curious how it's
Not
both
in their
it
main
is and it
foreign
isn't.
policy. It's not in their stated foreign policy, but there are people in power who want it.
And those people have all the
You
power to
think-
decide who Israel bombs.
Well, Ben Gvir was one of them.
So Ben Gvir wants the greater Israel.
Yes, he's a religious Zionist. That is the religious Zionist thing.
Interesting.
They want the greater Israel. They want all the land that was promised to Abraham, which is everything from the Nile to the Euphrates.
I don't think Israel actually is going to try and annex land in Euphrates, dude. If this is the case, why did Israel return places like the Sinai?
They were forced to.
No, they weren't. They
By
could
the
have kept the
UN.
Sinai.
Are you talking about in the 67, after the 67 war when they had
They
when they had
traded the
that
Sinai.
big chunk of land?
They traded the Sinai Desert back to Egypt for a peace deal.
Yeah, which the UN forced them to do. They didn't want to give that up.
The UN forced them to do it. Okay, really? Is that
The
is that
UN
why
forced them to do it.
you think Israel listens to the UN?
At the time, they did because they didn't have
That's not
American
true.
support behind them 100%.
That's so dumb.
Keep
man.
in
That's
mind,
not-
keep
no,
in
that's
mind
not
that
true.
American foreign policy was still right of return back then. It is not anymore.
So what?
When the '67 war happened, America's official position was not what it is now. Their official position was to return to the original partition deal and guarantee the refugees' right of return. That is not their foreign policy anymore. So America was not there to defend them during the '67 war.
Bro, what's it? I'm confused. What line of argument are you trying to take here? Like you've jumped all over the place.
The reason that Israel gets away with shit now, despite all the UN resolutions, is because the US vetoes every single one of them.
Okay,
But
can you
that is
explain
because
to
of
us?
the change in American foreign policy that was not there in 1967.
No, but like, just explain to us though, like the idea that the UN forced Israel to hand over the Sinai Desert to Egypt. It doesn't make sense. Like
Because the
they did that as
resolution
part of.
went through. Because the resolution went through. The US vetoes every resolution that goes through now. They didn't do that back then.
The resolutions don't really have much impact, man. It's about actual power on the ground, and Israel and Egypt decided to have a peace deal together. That's why they handed over the Sinai Desert. It wasn't anything to do with UN.
Well, the UN may not have any actual enforcement power, but the states within do. And as I said, American foreign policy was very different back then towards Israel. It was not what it is now.
You don't think Israel gave up the Sinai because they wanted peace with Egypt? Like, that's not a possibility?
No, that's not a possibility.
That's not okay, but they've got a peace deal with Egypt, though. They've got a peace deal with Egypt. So you think they don't want peace with Egypt, even though they've got a peace deal with Egypt? I don't understand that.
They didn't at the time.
No, but
They didn't
again,
want peace at the time.
but then they
We're talking
struck a
about the
peace deal.
'67 war because they were forced to.
No, dude, you've got your timelines.
They wanted to keep the Sinai. They wanted to keep
No,
it.
they explicitly handed over the Sinai. What are you talking about?
They wanted to keep it. They were forced to
By who?
by the UN. And the
Okay,
states within.
how many tank divisions did the UN have in the Sinai Desert?
I mean, the UN doesn't have any enforcement power, but as I said, the US foreign policy was not the same. The US would have forced them to
Why
do
are
it
you
if they
mentioning
did
the
not.
US?
If the same thing happened now,
the point is, Case,
because the reason the resolutions don't do anything today is because the US isn't willing to enforce it and vetoes every single one.
that's completely besides the point. The point is Israel wanted to have peace with Egypt. That's why they gave up the Sinai.
No, they wanted it. They wanted the Sinai.
Yeah, but
They wanted peace with Egypt while keeping the Sinai.
But they handed over. They handed over the
They
Sinai
didn't get
Desert
because
as
they
part of
were
a peace
forced
deal.
to.
By
Because they
who?
were forced to.
You can't just say, "Oh, the UN did a resolution." They've never listened to other resolutions, so why did they listen to this one?
Because back then, America would have had a more heavy hand in making sure that it was done.
So
Because the
let me
foreign policy was different.
let me get this straight. Let me get this straight, Case.
Therefore, American foreign policy towards Israel today is uncompromising support.
Yeah. So
Back
Casey,
then,
you're
It was
saying
strictly a return to the 1948 partition.
Are you saying that Israel always wanted Greater Israel, but they didn't do it in 1967 when they had the chance because the UN told them not to? But now they're bombing Iran so they can do Greater Israel. That's what you're arguing.
It's always been in the background. But today, it's become more pronounced
Interesting.
because there are the religious Zionists in the government.
Do you know how much of the government the religious Zionists control? The ones who want Greater Israel?
Netanyahu had to make a coalition with them, so they clearly have some power.
Yes, but like, tell us exactly who plans to annex the Euphrates. Tell us exactly who, how much of the government they represent, why it is the case that they actually.
Oh, it's not about pure numbers. It's about the fact that Netanyahu has to keep a coalition with them.
I know, but like,
and it's them who want that.
So
because
your
they
idea,
want
just
they
to
want to
clarify,
make this Greater Israel as a theocratic ethno-state.
Okay, so just to clarify, in your worldview, this is how it works. Iran wants to stop Israel from annexing the Euphrates. To stop them from doing that, Israel then bombs Iran so that they can push Iran out of the way and then annex the Euphrates. So now we should expect
because nuclear weapons would be a deterrent.
Okay, so now we should expect Israel any day now to invade Iraq. Is this true?
Not Iraq.
But you were just saying that's the whole point. They
I mean,
wanna...
are any of us sure how this is going to go yet? No. Like, waiting on Trump to make next steps. For all we know, this could fucking spiral out of control into a third world war if Trump puts troops on the ground.
Tell us how that would work. How it would become World War III.
Well, if Trump puts U.S. troops on the ground to fight for Israel.
Okay, what's the reality of that?
Iran is a regional power with allies in Russia and China and, a bunch of other countries and the powers in the east.
So you think
diverting troops to Iran?
You think it's a possibility that Trump might start World War III and then Israel will invade Iraq and annex it? Is that what you're telling us?
No, I'm just saying that would be a World War III.
And you think Israel will try to invade Iraq?
If Trump puts U.S. troops on the ground...
Okay, what's the indication that he's going to put U.S. troops on the ground?
Nothing yet, but...
Exactly,
we'll
okay, then the debate's over then. There's nothing yet.
We'll see, that's the worst case scenario. That's the worst case scenario. I'm hoping he doesn't put troops on the ground, and I'll be fucking up in arms if he does, and I see Australian troops. If I see Australian troops in the Middle East...
There's not going to be Australian troops in the Middle East. There's not going to be Australian troops.
There were Australian troops in Iraq. There were Australian troops in Iraq.
Dude, that was 20 years ago. It's a completely different situation. Completely different.
This is pretty much Iraq War 2.0.
Oh,
at the very least,
that's such a clown. No, it's not. That's just clownish, dude. That's just kind of.
Well, Casey,
who's talking? Israel is going to put boots on the ground in Iran. Is that what you're saying? They've got no land border between each other. How is Israel going to put boots on the ground in Iran?
Talking about the US putting boots on the ground in Iran.
Yeah, but you're talking about Israel creating a greater Israel, and that's just like a ridiculous statement.
Well, that's the goal of the religious Zionists.
Maybe some.
Maybe like 0.5%.
The Nile to the Euphrates.
I don't think even Ben Gvir wants a greater Israel in Iraq.
I've never even seen Ben Gvir say that he should occupy.
It's only like half of Iraq. It's only like half of Iraq. It's up to the Euphrates.
that makes it more realistic.
Part of Saudi Arabia, part of like a bunch of.
All right, can you explain to us? Right, Israel right now is working really hard to build up better relations with the Saudi Arabian, with the Sauds. Do you really think that Israel then wants to go in and just annex Saudi territory? That's ridiculous.
You know what? There's Arab Zionism for a reason.
What?
But that's why Netanyahu did the whole blessing or a curse at last year.
What are you talking about?
The whole holding up signs, blessing and a curse. Axis of resistance, curse, they will be destroyed. The other, like Egypt and Saudi Arabia and whatnot. So either diplomatic alliance or you'll be destroyed.
Yeah, kind of, but also that has nothing to do with Greater Israel.
You're telling us.
If they have
Israel,
sympathetic politicians willing, like if they have like willing Arab Zionist politicians and heads of state, like it might not be a greater Israel in the literal sense of like territorial expansionism, but it's basically like it's sort of that because they've got sympathetic governments.
So it's not actually going to be greater Israel. It's just going to be these countries don't hate Israel, which by the way they don't.
I think the only way it would turn into an actual like Nazi style expansionism would be if you had like an actual religious Zionist government.
You're the one saying this is happening, though. So
I thought you said that they already. I thought you said that they already conquered. I thought this religious Zionists already conquered Israel.
No, I said they have a degree of power because they're in a coalition with Netanyahu.
Yeah,
You
they
know,
are.
well,
yes.
you didn't say
But
they have a
if,
degree
but
of
if
power. You
instead of Likud in power, you had the religious Zionist parties in power, shit would turn a lot more violent than it already is.
Yeah, but you're claiming that these religious Zionists have enough power to get Netanyahu to bomb Iran in order to stop them from creating Greater Israel, like,
So
or wait, stop
they
them
have
from
enough
stopping.
power to force some concessions. They have enough power to force some concessions.
I mean, either the government wants Greater Israel or they don't. It's not both, right?
The religious Zionists want Greater Israel.
Yeah, and you're saying that they're making Israel bomb Iran, right?
That's part of the reason why. Prevent nukes, because nukes are an effective deterrent
Against the Greater Israel.
against anything.
But you just
Against
said the Greater.
anything they
You
do
just
in the
said
region.
you just said the Greater Israel will be done by diplomacy, not by invasion. So why would it matter if they have nukes or not?
Because it won't just be done by diplomacy. It'll be done by diplomacy if willing. It's a blessing or a curse logic. It's biblical logic.
Yeah. But let's
It's
just say they
biblical logic.
let's just say they go by the
They
blessing.
either
Why would
they
they?
either-
Why would Iran's nukes stop Israel from having diplomacy with Saudi Arabia?
Wouldn't it actually drive
it
Saudi
wouldn't.
Arabia closer? Wouldn't, if Iran had a nuclear bomb, wouldn't it drive the Saudis closer to Israel because they don't want Iran to have a nuclear bomb? The Saudis view Iran as their number one regional competitor.
Why is one Shia and one Sunni or something?
Yes, that's the whole thing, dude.
Well, I don't know exactly about how the Saudis fit into it.
Well, you
But-
should, because Greater Israel encompasses a big chunk of Saudi Arabia, right? Like, isn't this an important thing to talk about?
Yeah, they've already got diplomacy with the Saudis. I don't know about relations between the Saudis and the Iranians. That's what I'm talking
I mean,
So-
they're not good, I'll tell you that. But you're saying that Israel wants to stop Iran from getting nukes, so Iran won't nuke them in case they do diplomacy with Saudi Arabia. Is that your argument?
No,
Well, okay.
no. Like
let
Iran,
me lay
Iran isn't
me lay
even in
this
the
out.
borders of Greater Israel. Iran isn't even in the borders
Yeah,
of the Greater Israel.
no.
of the
Let
Greater
me lay this
Israel.
out. Let me lay this out. You said Israel is bombing Iran because Iran has nukes and that will stop them from creating Greater Israel. You also said Israel is creating Greater Israel by doing diplomacy with Saudi Arabia. Therefore, you're implying that Iran is creating nukes to stop Israel from doing diplomacy with Saudi Arabia. I just don't understand how that works.
More like they want to stop them from taking Lebanon, half of Syria, and half of Iraq.
Okay.
Okay, can you explain this to us? Explain this to us,
Over
right?
half of Syria.
Let me ask
over
you this,
half of
Casey.
Syria, just under half of Iraq.
Casey,
Because they're antagonistic. Because they're antagonistic states who didn't
Casey.
accept a blessing of diplomacy.
Okay, Casey. Let's ask this, right? Israel defeated Hezbollah very substantially. There was like total destruction of Hezbollah. They killed Nasrallah. They had the Pages attack. They took out a massive part of the Hezbollah military. And then Israel withdrew back behind the Israeli border. Why, according to your logic, why didn't they go and annex Beirut?
No, they actually left some Jewish settlers behind.
That's not an answer. Why didn't they annex Beirut after destroying all of Hezbollah if they want a Greater Israel?
Beirut's the capital city in the north. Huh?
No, not
Yes.
really in the north. It's in like the middle of Lebanon,
Well,
but like
it's the capital city, right? So if they want
Yeah, but
Syria and
like,
Lebanon, why don't they
Hezbollah-
take it?
Didn't you tell me Hezbollah is not the actual government of Lebanon?
They're
yes,
not.
it's not, but it's like the most powerful military force in Lebanon, and they crushed them. According to your logic, why wouldn't Israel have just kept going and annexed Lebanon? Because you think that Israel wants to annex all of Lebanon. They crushed the main military force in Lebanon, which was Hezbollah, and then they withdrew back behind the Israeli border. How does that make sense in your world?
Probably international scrutiny. Like that's the big barrier. That's the big barrier.
but if they
Unless-
but you're
Unless you
saying
just have
you're
an
saying that they're
Israel-US
extreme.
alliance that goes fully
Okay,
fucking
dude.
rogue because of Trump.
You're saying
Like,
that they're
Greater Israel won't
sa-
happen.
you're saying that they're extreme religious Zionists. Why would they care about international scrutiny if they believe that they have to conquer Lebanon and Iraq because of God? Why would they care about that? It doesn't make sense within your worldview
Because international scrutiny would still lead to the rest of the world turning on them.
Okay. Let's just get this. Okay.
Problems.
Okay, this is your logic, right? Your logic is Israel is like plotting day by day to annex Saudi Arabia, a huge part of Iraq, annex half of Lebanon, all this stuff. But at the same time, they're really concerned about how the world views them, and they stepped back because they're like, oh, we don't want to be critical. If they actually really wanted to go and conquer all these places and next them, obviously they wouldn't care about what people think. So it just doesn't make sense. You're saying
something like that would have been a red line for Biden.
Okay, but
Guaranteed.
you're saying that they're extreme religious. That you're saying they're religious extremists and stuff like that. Why would they care what Biden says to them if really like they're religious extremists, as you say?
Because they still need all the weapons.
Okay.
So, if Biden would have cut off the weapons because they decided to annex Lebanon and refused to give it up, then it's pretty much halted where it's at.
Well, Casey, do you think it's more likely that Israel is like bombing Iran and stuff because they don't want them to have a nuclear weapon because Iran has threatened to kill Israel and not because they want a greater Israel?
Both.
No?
No.
Both. But might I say that Israel deserves to be bombed?
You think Israel deserves to be nuked?
Okay.
I think Iran should not stop firing missiles and destroy everything they have.
Okay, then why wouldn't Israel fight back? Again, this is exactly the point. This is exactly the point.
They're a rogue state that doesn't deserve to exist. I don't give a fuck.
Okay, exactly. So why are we even having this debate then? This is your logic, right? This is your logic. Everyone in Israel should die. They should all be fucking wiped off the planet.
No, I'm not saying everyone in Israel should die. I'm saying every decent Jew who isn't a fucking Zionist should flee. Should get
okay.
Is that not genocidal?
And leave the fascists to die.
Wait, is that not genocidal rhetoric, Casey?
Would it not be okay? Are you saying that it would have been genocidal to just kill every single Nazi in Germany?
Let me ask Casey this. Casey, why the fuck should Israel care what you think about them then? You're saying that you want the country to be destroyed. Okay, do you think Israel's going to accept that?
Who said I care what Israel thinks I have to say?
No, but this is the point though, right? This is the point. According to your logic, we should all be outraged. Oh no, this is horrible. How dare Israel do all this stuff? Why the fuck would Israel care? If you're literally saying you don't believe that there should be any ability for them to fight back. You're actually straight up saying you want Iran to kill all of them. So that's
because
exactly why Israel's
this
fighting.
Shit in 1948 because they fucking started it in 1948.
Exactly. That's it. There's no debate then. There's no debate. You want Israel to be destroyed. Iran wants Israel to be destroyed. Israel's not going to want to be destroyed, so they're fighting back. And you're mad that they're fighting back. It's a fucking war. You want to destroy them. Of course they're going to fight back against you. Tell us who in history just sits down and just waits to be raped and murdered.
Raped?
Yeah, that's what you want. You want mass death marches. You want killings. You want mass rape. You want slaughter. Tell us who would just accept that for their country?
I did not say slaughter. I did not say slaughter.
You straight up said that
it's good that they bombed them. That's what you said.
Okay. Bomb the Zionists. I think everyone else should get out.
You're saying they should either leave or...
Everyone in Israel is a Zionist. Every Jew in Israel is a Zionist.
Not everyone.
7 million people.
Not everyone. What about the ultra-Orthodox Jews? Ultra-Orthodox Jews is Zionist.
But what you're saying is that unless they literally leave Israel, they deserve to die. Do you know how insane that is?
I'm specifically saying the Zionists deserve to die because they're not... But
that's 95%.
They are no different to fucking Nazis.
So
they are no different to Nazis.
Okay, 90% of all Jews in the world are Zionists. You're saying that 90% of Jews...
90% of all Jews in the world?
Yes.
All Jews?
Yes, about 90%. So you want to wipe out 90%. And then we're the Nazis. You're the Nazis. You're saying wipe out 90% of Israeli Jews.
It's only 80% of Israeli.
Okay.
Beautiful. We got it.
Okay, kill all the people. Beautiful, dude. Good on ya.
But
my God, dude.
That has nothing to do with Jews who are already everywhere else.
Oh,
and they
okay,
are just as good as Nazis.
So just kill.
They
so
are
just
just
kill
as
80
good as Nazis. Just as bad as Nazis.
So just kill 80% of Jews in the world, but it's not Nazi to do
In
that.
Israel, not Israel. In Israel, there are countless Jews elsewhere.
Okay, so you want to kill 80% of Jews in Israel?
I don't want to.
You
You
just
do
said
want
that you
to.
wanted it. You just said you
But
wanted it
if
to
it
happen.
means freedom for Palestine, means
Oh, wait,
freedom for the
wait.
Middle East.
Holy
for
shit! So
American
you kill
imperialism,
5
I
million
give a
people.
fuck.
So you kill 6 million people. 5 million people. It's the second Holocaust.
Well, maybe Israel shouldn't be doing a fucking Holocaust on the Palestinians.
Holy shit,
Okay.
dude! Holy shit!
Well,
So you're straight up
Casey.
saying. So you're sitting there in fucking Australia smoking bongs like a retard. You're just some fat guy smoking bongs in Australia, and you're just saying, "Oh yeah."
Bongs.
He's smoking
you're just-
cigarettes, to be fair.
Yeah, and then so you just some guy smoking bongs in Australia, and you're saying, "Oh yeah, we're just gonna kill 80% of Jews in Israel, and oh if they don't want to die, they shouldn't have been born there." It's fucking crazy, man. You're fucking nuts.
Well, Casey, what do you think about October 7th? Do you think that was justified?
I think it was justified.
Oh, okay, yeah. Did it
Because
work?
Israel,
Tell us.
because Israel had been
work?
exterminating Palestinians for
exterminating
75
Palestinians.
years.
Oh, okay. So is that why Gaza's population grew exponentially over decades, right?
They had them in a prison, Drew.
Oh,
They had them in an open air prison with a fence around it.
The life expectancy in Gaza was higher than the life expectancy in Cairo. Higher than the life expectancy in Glasgow. It's literally higher than the life expectancy in West Virginia. And you're saying it's a massive open air prison.
It's an open air prison with a fence around it, automated guns. No one is allowed in or out without IDF approval.
Tell us, did October 7 work?
Fine work. Then the goal was the
are things going well? Are things going well for the Axis of Resistance right now?
I don't know if it's going to go well yet, but what?
Okay,
but
okay.
I would
just Hamas gets crushed, Hezbollah gets crushed, everybody gets crushed. Assad
What do you
gets
prefer?
overthrown.
What do you prefer? They die fighting, or they sit down and die quietly?
No one was dying in Gaza on October 6th.
Wait, you just said they were in an open air prison. They weren't dying.
There was a fucking weapons testing ground.
Casey, calm down. Holy shit!
Amazing,
he got
dude.
so mad.
Amazing. This guy needs to retire from politics. It's actually sad. I actually feel like I'm picking on a disabled kid. This is actually sad. This is so bad. Dude.
I wish we got to. I wanted to ask him about Israel, about Egypt.
Oh my God.
Does he condemn them for
so
also?
Many, dude.
Yeah.
So that was amazing. He literally rage quit. He
got so mad, bro.
He rage quit. But
wait, he just messaged me.
What
he
did I even
messaged
say
me.
wrong, though?
He said, "Fuck you both, you dumb fascist fucks."
Okay, wow, powerful ass. I gave him a platform. I let him to come on the show, and then he called for a second Holocaust. He called for killing 6 million people, and then when I call him out on that, he goes, "Oh, you damn fascist," and he fucking rage quits. Oh my God, dude.
That was so funny. Well, I'm gonna go now, but. That was
holy
good.
shit. That was amazing. Can you clip that up? Clip that up. We'll put it on Twitter. That was fucking amazing. That was great content just then. That was fucking great content. Holy shit, dude. That was amazing content. Did you guys see that? Holy shit. Wow. That was nuts. He said Gaza was a weapons testing ground on October 5. Like, what the fuck's he talking about, dude? What the fuck's he talking about? Oh, Casey's back. He's back. Hang on. I'm putting him in. Casey, you're back. You're on mute. You're on mute. You have to unmute yourself, dude. Are you there? Have you unmuted yourself? Okay, I can hear you now.
Just so you know, if you care more about Ukraine and Israel than Australia, maybe you should fuck off there and fight their war for them.
I'm not fighting any war. They're doing well themselves. I don't need to fucking fight for Israel. They're doing fucking well. I don't know if you saw, but they just wiped out the entire top echelon.
For them. Then stop
shelling
for
Casey, I'm not sure if you saw, but yesterday they wiped out the entire top leadership of the Iranian nuclear program. I don't think they need Drew Pavlou to fight for them. They're doing pretty well themselves, the Israelis, don't you think?
Then stop fucking shilling for them.
I'm not shilling for them. I just find it fun. I find it fun.
You are.
I find
You
it
are.
fun. I'm excited. Let me explain this. I find it funny when jihadists get destroyed. I find it funny when jihadist terrorists lose wars they started. I love it. I love it. Of course I love it.
Okay, what about when they bomb a civilian city, Drew? They bombed Tehran as well.
No, they bombed the residences of the top Iranian nuclear scientists.
There was footage.
They bombed the top Iranian
of them bombing Tehran.
It was the top nuclear scientists in Iran, and it was in the top military officials in Iran. They were the people that died.
They also sent missiles to Tehran.
No, it was
a civilian area.
It was one of the most targeted operations.
Footage of this.
You can see images. They struck. There are buildings where the only apartment they struck were literally the apartments that housed the top military officials in Iran.
Apartments, so skyscraper buildings.
So there's a skyscraper building, right? There's 500. Say there's 500 apartments.
You know that's going to cause damage. It's going to kill other people.
No, but the buildings are still standing. They took out one apartment in this place. There are buildings with 100 apartments in them, and they took out one apartment, and it was conveniently one of the top Iranian military officials in the regime.
Why not just bomb the facilities? Why not just bomb the facilities?
Because they'll build more. They'll build more.
They'll build more.
You want to kill the people who are responsible for it.
It's a war. It's a war.
And they'll just find more scientists.
Okay, dude. Sure, that's great.
Wait, Casey, do you acknowledge
good luck
that
to
Israel?
them.
Do you acknowledge that Israel has been way more moral in its war than Iran has? Iran has just been blanket carpet bombing like Tel Aviv and stuff.
I mean,
most of the missiles, as usual, got intercepted by the Iron Dome.
No,
that's not the point. We're talking about intent, right?
Here's the fact. Iran just hit missiles all across Tel Aviv. They just literally rained down missiles indiscriminately on Tel Aviv, whereas Israel took out like the individual apartments of top regime officials in Iran.
I've seen footage of missiles hitting civilians, or hitting civilian areas in Tehran.
No, tell us where.
There is no reason for it. There was no reason to fire any missiles
they
at
only
Tehran,
targeted specific
and
people.
Iran firing missiles at Tel Aviv, knowing that most of them would be intercepted by the Iron Dome, because that's usually what happens.
Wait, do you think the Iron Dome intercepts ICBMs? Or like the bigger missiles?
Is the Iron Dome not big thing to shoot down all the missiles?
Do you know anything about what you're talking about? Do you think like Israel has the capacity to intercept all of the missiles fired at it by Iran? Like what are you talking about? Do you think none of the missiles hit like Tel Aviv?
Not saying none of them hit. I'm aware some of them hit.
Yeah, and most of them were most of the missiles that hit Tel Aviv had no like target. They just like blanketed Tel Aviv with missiles. They didn't target any specific person like Israel did. So would you condemn Iran for that?
AI targeting systems that Israel has.
What are you talking about? Israel didn't use AI to fucking kill the leadership of Iran.
Israel, they would have used AI targeting systems.
No, it was a planned out attack. They thought about it. They planned it out. Same with the pager attack. Same with pretty much all their attacks, because they don't try to kill civilians. They try to kill the leaders in charge while their enemies.
They don't try and kill civilians. Tell that to
while their enemies blanket just random fucking cities in Israel. Like same thing happened with Hezbollah when they attacked Hezbollah. Like, can you condemn Iran and Hezbollah for just blanket bombing Tel Aviv?
He's not going to, because he said that he wanted more people to die in Tel Aviv. He wanted more people to die.
So wanted more people to die.
You said it. You straight up said it. You said you wanted every Zionist in Israel to die, which is 80% of the population.
I mean, look, they want to exterminate Palestinians.
Oh, okay, so true.
They're getting what's coming their way. They're getting what's coming their way.
Okay. So even Jewish kids just should die then?
No, I don't think kids should die at all. But also, Israel's been killing Palestinian kids.
Wait, that's not an argument. Wait, so do you condemn Iran and Hamas for killing civilians?
I don't think anyone should be killing civilians.
Well, I want to hear a condemnation.
You said it 10 minutes ago, but okay.
Can we get a condemnation?
I condemn Hamas for killing civilians. I condemn
Oh, good
Iran for
stuff.
killing civilians. I condemn Israel for killing civilians. 50,000 of them.
Okay, 50,000
No.
civilians. Okay. Could you explain to us why 10 minutes ago you said that every single Zionist in Israel should be killed, considering that's like 80, 90% of the population? You're not saying anything, dude. You're not saying anything.
Look, I'm just getting impulsive because I'm sick of you shilling. Really?
Oh,
That's
okay.
like,
So
like
you're allowed
I'm,
to just.
I'm sick-
Okay, you
So-
don't
so
know my
when-
political
killing.
views.
I think.
So you're
like,
walking
I
that
think
one back.
respectfully-
You're walking that one
I
back.
think, yes, I'm walking that one back. I
Okay,
think
that's good. That's good.
respectfully, I think you should fuck off to Israel and go fight their war for them.
Okay,
Because
why do I have to
more
do that?
them
Why
than
do I have
about
to do that when they're winning? They're already winning, so why do they need me? They don't need me.
Wait,
They're-
do you
they're
wait,
suppression.
Casey? Do you often advocate for genocide when you're frustrated? Does that usually happen?
No, but I also didn't advocate for genocide.
You
You
advocated
said
for
you wanted to
80%
eradicate
of
all
Israel to die.
Israelis.
I said based on a political ideology.
Oh,
not a
okay. All right,
race.
just based on a political ideology. Okay, that's cool. That's cool, dude. 80% of people in Israel, like 5 million people, should just die. Oh, but conveniently, it's for a political ideology.
I mean, would you have said that every Nazi in Germany should have been killed after the war?
I don't believe there's any comparison whatsoever between.
Wait,
Israel and the States.
first of all, if they're
I
not
think
fighting,
there is. I think there is.
do you think we killed all the Nazis after World War II? Like, we denazified them and stuff. Even that comparison doesn't work. If there was like random civilians who were Nazis, you didn't just kill them. You can't kill civilians for disagreeing.
No,
with
they
you.
didn't. No, they.
What are you talking about?
The Soviets denazified East Germany.
Oh,
the
that's
Soviets
so true,
denazified
dude.
East Germany.
No, they didn't. They really
West
didn't.
Germany was
There were
never
not-
denazified.
There were former Nazi officials well into like the 50s and 60s still serving in East Germany under the communists.
What do you mean? It was one party state.
Yes, there were former Nazis who were rehabilitated, and then they just kept on serving for the East German state.
Oh yeah,
They're
rehabilitated.
rehabilitated. Yeah, so true, dude. So
Yeah,
true.
I mean,
But
would you say the last Chinese emperor wasn't rehabilitated by Mao?
how does that have anything to do with what we're talking about? But the point
He
is
was like
just,
9 years old, dude. He was 9 years
yeah,
old.
you can't kill civilians just
I
because
mean,
you don't like what they
okay,
believe.
no, hold on. He was 9 years old when he was forced to step down. But then there was also Manchuria.
Casey, can I ask you this, right? If the Soviets were so successful at denazifying Eastern Germany, why is it the case that Eastern Germany is the main base for AfD support and extreme right support in Germany today?
For the same reason that Putin and his far-right government is in control in Russia.
Yeah, because communists didn't stop
For the
fucking
same-
fascism.
I mean, yes, they did. It
No,
was
they
the West
just-
that didn't stop fascism. West
Isn't it
Germany.
interesting?
literal
Let me ask you
Nazi
this.
officials
Why is
immediately
this
after-
the case? Why is this the case? How come all these places that were communist are now going fascist today? Why is that the case? Russia is a fascist state today. East Germany is the base of the extreme right in Germany. Why is this the case? Why are there all these sort of places that were blessed by the greatness of Soviet communism and now they're going far right? Why is that? I thought they ended Nazis.
Oh, no,
I thought they ended all the
I wouldn't-
fascism.
I mean, I wouldn't say that Soviet communism was great. I mean, their economies operated almost identical. They were both command economies. Like, remember that I don't think the Soviet Union was actually communist.
Oh, okay.
The reason they
That's good.
denazified East Germany was because the Nazis caused more damage to the Soviets than to anyone else.
They didn't do well, but that's just going back a tiny bit. You said you're like saying that it's okay to kill civilians if you disagree with them or like you believe that they have bad views. Like this has never been an acceptable thing ever.
If they are perpetuating an ideology that leads to the extermination of people based on race.
Okay, dude.
Yeah,
okay.
no,
But you were calling for the extermination of 6 million people, and you're saying you're the good guy.
Well, I mean, just to be clear, Casey, you think towards the end of World War II, it would have been okay if they killed pretty much every German, because most of them were Nazis, right? Like even the civilians believed in the Nazi ideology.
It wasn't most. It was never most.
Well,
No,
a
dude,
very large
it was,
amount.
It was a super majority of the German population supported Nazism during World War II. That is the case. That's the fact. Especially after the victory in France, like the vast majority of people in Germany supported Nazism.
Okay, well, probably not. But more of the government officials.
Okay, probably not. Okay, sure.
Yeah, so killing civilians is bad, right? You agree?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm glad we got there.
But when you got mad at me 15 minutes ago, you were saying just kill all the civilians in Israel because they support Zionism.
Personally, I think they should leave if they're not Zionists. They should be rehabilitated if they are.
How would you
We need a Palestinian state.
How would you rehabilitate them? Would you have maybe like internment facilities for the Israelis?
And it's called an education system.
Okay, so you maybe education camps. You'd put the Israelis.
Well, they're already educated. You need to re-educate them, Drew. So
I mean, they're indoctrinated to believe Palestinians are vicious demons and need to be killed.
Okay, so true. So you're gonna put 80-90% of the Jewish population of Israel into camps to educate them. What does that remind me of? What does that remind me of, Casey?
No.
Okay, you're not gonna do that. How are you gonna re-educate them?
Well, I think the government officials need to be either executed.
Okay, you've eliminated. Executed. Okay, sure.
Either executed.
Which government officials?
Or properly Israeli government officials.
Okay, which ones?
What do you mean, which ones?
Okay, which government officials in Israel? All of them. So even like say the opposition that's anti Netanyahu, they should all be exterminated too.
Oh, they're still genocidal Zionists.
Oh, okay. So just every
they all
single
want the genocide of Palestine.
Hey, can I ask you
this?
Can I ask you this?
Hey,
can I ask you this, right?
Remember that the Labour Party was the one who did the Nazi.
Oh, okay. So let me ask you this, right, Casey? The Israeli Arab Party that was part of the coalition government with Naftali Bennett, would they be executed as well?
Are they Zionist?
Well, they believe in the state of Israel existing, so I guess that you could call them Zionists.
I mean, what is their opinion on the genocide?
Well, they don't call it a genocide. Well, they don't call it a genocide. So, are you going to say that Israeli politicians who are of Arab descent, who are critical of the mainstream consensus in Israel, should be killed as well?
Say killed or re-educated across the board.
Killed
or re-educated.
Okay, that's good. That's very humane of you. Very. Yeah.
Well, what do you think?
And also,
do you believe in a two-state solution or what?
And also, no, I don't believe in a two-state solution.
Okay.
I believe in a one-state Palestine solution because that is the only common sense solution.
Do you think the Jews will be safe in this one-state Palestine?
I'm not sure. There needs to be steps to ensure that things are peaceful and that one
that's good.
Palestine state does not result in a Holocaust.
Oh, okay. So now you're against the Holocaust. Okay, that's good to hear.
I mean, I've always been against the Holocaust.
Okay, up to 20 minutes ago. Well, 20 minutes ago you were supporting it, but you've changed your mind now.
Look, I think I'm not sure what needs to happen exactly for this to be overcome. I will be looking forward to Elon Pape's book on the subject later this year.
Oh, okay, so you just
have suggestions.
So let's work this out, right? So we're going to destroy Israel. That's the first step. Then we're going to create a Palestinian ethno state, and then we're just going to experiment.
Not an ethno state. Not an ethno state.
Okay. So the Jews can live there. We're not quite sure how we're going to keep them protected, but we'll just work that out in the process.
Do you know by any chance what the Palestinians think of Jews living on their land? Like, do you know what the opinion is of people in the West Bank and Gaza about Jews? Do you think they like them?
Probably not.
Okay. But they'll live in peace though.
I don't like if it was just if like right now the state of Israel was just replaced with a larger state of Palestine, it would end in absolute chaos. So they need that. Like, I think it's a no-brainer that there needs to be other steps to make sure that there is a reconciliation.
Okay, reconciliation. How are you going to do that? Okay, that's good to know. Reconciliation based on re-educating people in camps?
No.
Okay, so we're not doing the camps. That's good to know.
Is it based on like Iran bombing Tel Aviv nonstop and more October 7th happening, which you supported, by the way?
No, to be honest, it would probably require like a reverse British mandate.
Okay, so you're admitting October 7th didn't work. You're admitting that it wasn't potentially a great outcome for peace. Is that the case? Am I correct here when I make that assumption about your views?
Oh yeah, it didn't. Like, I mean, it could still work for all we know, but probably not.
So October 7th wasn't justified. You concede that.
I didn't say it wasn't justified.
So let's get this straight then. You think that it was a disaster. You think it didn't advance peace, but you still think it was good that it happened. Okay, that's good to know. How does that work?
I didn't say it was good that it happened.
So it was
You
justified.
said it 20 minutes ago. 20 minutes ago,
I
you
just
said
said
it was
it
great
was
that it happened.
justified. I just said it was justified.
Okay. So it was
That's
justified,
not
but
the same
you
as saying that it was good
okay.
that it had to
So
happen.
it didn't produce anything positive for Palestinians, but it's still good that it happened, or it's still justified that it happened, even though it didn't achieve anything.
Well, yeah, justified that it happened because look, at the end of the day, if you're an oppressed population, like imagine we were doing to Palestine, imagine we were doing to like the Aboriginals what Israel does to the Palestinians on the daily.
I thought a lot of leftists.
I would more than expect the Aboriginals to fight back rather than just sit down and die quietly.
Very powerful.
Do you think there was a genocide happening before October 7th?
Gradual genocide, ethnic cleansing.
So such a gradual genocide where the population increases tenfold, right?
They were using it as a weapons testing facility.
So it was a genocide, or wait, it was or wasn't a genocide? I want to know that.
It was an quote-unquote incremental genocide is what Elon calls.
What is an incremental genocide?
Basically really slow.
A really slow genocide which actually increases the population instead of decreasing it.
Huh?
A really slow genocide that increases the population that is genociding.
Yeah, but like keep in mind genocide.
That's not how genocide. Well, generally with a genocide,
just means a targeted killing of a people because of the characters.
So you're saying that Israelis were doing an incremental genocide which increased the Palestinian population, and that's why it was okay.
I mean, they didn't do it to increase the population. They did it to.
But it resulted in an increase in population by like tenfold.
That's just fertility rates. 60s. That's just really high fertility rates. And what do you mean since the 60s?
I mean, since the 1960s.
Like, the Gaza Strip only really turned into like a proper open air prison until after Hamas came to power.
Interesting. So before that,
the
there was no genocide.
Was made as a prison to contain.
So before that, there was no genocide.
And there was still ethnic cleansing, but ethnic cleansing is just genocide.
Interesting. So you don't think the fact that Israel tightened its security around Gaza has anything to do with the fact that Hamas took power? You think it's just a coincidence that it happened around that time?
If Israel didn't want Hamas to take power, then they should have helped Fatah get rid of them, but they refused to do that.
Yeah, but I'm asking, don't you think the fact that there was increased security around the Gaza Strip?
Hamas was a useful
I'm
scapegoat.
asking. Oh, so it was just a scapegoat. It had nothing to do with the fact that Hamas wants to like kill all Israelis and stuff.
I mean, sure, that may have something to do with it, but if Israel didn't want to deal with Hamas, they could have helped Fatah get rid of Hamas immediately. But they
So
didn't.
what do
They
the Palestinians have?
declined
Do the
because Hamas was a good
Palestinians have no
scapegoat.
agency? Are the Palestinians like retarded babies? They have no agency to like stop terror
No,
groups from coming to
no.
power. It's all
They
Israel's
were
fault.
radicalized.
Hamas took
They were
power. I guess
radicalized.
Israel should
They
have
were
done something.
radicalized because they were radicalized.
Like, why
because
don't you
secular
ever put any
groups sold
blame?
out.
Why don't you put any blame on Hamas or the Palestinians for letting Hamas take power?
I'm saying that the Palestinians were radicalized.
And the Israelis
The
were
Palestinians
radicalized
in
by the fact
Gaza
that there
were
are a terror
radicalized.
group on their border shooting missiles into them like every day.
I
Yeah,
mean-
exactly. Don't you
I
think
mean-
the Israelis get radicalized by this?
Like you give
I mean, the
you
Israelis
give all
have
the
always been
agency to the
radicalized.
Israelis. You give no agency to the
Zionism is a
Palestinians.
radical fascist ideology. Zionism is
Palestinians
a radical
are
fascist ideology.
retarded babies with no agency in your view. They have no control over their. They have no control. They
That
are
is
just like
not. That is not
they
what I
live on
said.
impulse.
That is not what I said.
that is
Yes,
what that's
they
what
chose
you're
Hamas.
implying. That's
Yes,
what
they
you're
chose
implying.
Hamas.
That's what you're implying. You're saying the fact that
Yes, they chose
Hamas
Hamas
took
because they were
power is
radicalized by everything that was already happening.
and Israelis aren't radicalized by the fact that they're being bombed every day and stuff like that. It only works one way.
Israelis are already radicalized. Israelis are already radicalized.
And
Zionism
okay,
is
from
already
what?
a
From
fascist
what?
ideology.
Can you tell us who radicalized the Israelis? Why did they get radicalized?
Zionist ideology.
Oh, okay.
Israeli
Not from
education
not from 100 years of Palestinian terror attacks and massacres and the Holocaust and all this sort of stuff.
I mean, the Holocaust definitely opened the door for them to be radicalized. And
okay.
the Zionists did jump on that. The Zionists
Oh,
jumped
okay,
on that
okay.
gravy train immediately.
Oh, they jumped on that. Oh, so they jumped on it
Like, that's
cynically.
That's why
you-
Israel is pretty much just as much Hitler's fault as it is anyone else's.
Oh,
like-
okay, that's so true.
Because
can
if
I-
the
can I ask you
Holocaust
this?
hadn't happened, Israel probably would never have been founded because Zionism
I ask you
would have
this?
got support.
Can I ask you this? So you think that the Zionists exploited the Holocaust or whatever? Could it not just be that
Yes.
people looked at the Holocaust? Okay, so you're saying yes. Could it not just be the case that people looked at the Holocaust and just said, this teaches us that maybe we need to have our own state because when we don't have a state, we've been genocided. Do you think that's a possibility? Nobody could have
Why
rationally come
in
to that thought.
Palestine? Why
Uh,
in Palestine?
Maybe because that's the historic homeland of Jewish people and like that's where the religion was founded.
But there was another people living there.
Sure, I know. They wanted a two-state solution. There was the offer of a two-state solution.
They
Unfortunately,
did
the
not
Arab
want a
nationalists rejected
two-state
it.
solution.
Well,
did
they
not
accept-
want a two-state solution.
They accepted the UN partition plan.
They
The Arabs
begrudgingly
rejected
accepted the partition
it.
plan.
Okay.
They begrudgingly
Okay. You know who didn't begrudgingly accept any petition plan? The Arab nationalists completely rejected the petition plan. So, don't you think they have part of the blame here?
Sure, but like they wanted what? A state of Palestine instead of any Israeli state.
Sorry, what?
What?
What are you saying here, dude?
Like this is part of like the broader issue. You're giving no agency to the
They-
Palestinians.
so
You're blaming everything
the
on Israel.
Arab, so the Arab states didn't want the partition plan because they wanted a
Yes.
state of Palestine instead. They wanted the
Yes.
Palestinians their own state like the rest of them.
Yes.
Wait, no,
And
the
they-
partition plan would have
Yeah.
given Palestinians a state,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So the petition plan would have given the Palestinians a state, and they rejected it because it wasn't a state over the entire
Yes,
land. of
but
Palestine.
with
It wasn't good enough.
with a Jewish state full of European migrants
Okay, next to
shoved
them.
in
So,
the-
okay, so because
shoved in the middle of them. Shoved in the middle.
Okay. So because there could be some Jews living next to them, that's not enough for them to have a two-state solution. They have to fucking purge them all into the sea. Okay, that makes sense to me.
I mean, look, I think maybe we should have just made a fucking sand island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean or something for them. Like,
The Jews.
it's just, yeah, for a Jewish state, like just build a new
Create a sand-
country.
just
somewhere.
to exile all the Jewish Holocaust survivors to a desert island in the middle of the ocean. Okay, it sounds good, dude. Doesn't sound genocidal at all. Wait,
I mean, they already live in a desert, mate. They already live in a fucking desert.
Casey's
But
amazing
they're
plan.
living on another people's desert.
Casey's amazing plan. Casey's amazing plan the Holocaust happens.
I'm just
You
spitballing.
take the
I'm just spitballing. I should
you
be
take
clear.
the survivors of the Holocaust. You take the survivors of the Holocaust, and you exile them to a random desert, barren island in the middle of nowhere. That doesn't sound genocidal at all.
Straight from Auschwitz into the ocean, mate.
Yeah, isn't that pretty beautiful? Wow, you're such a
What do you
humane
mean
man,
into the
Casey.
ocean? I'm
Okay,
looking
so
at- no.
Casey, you would have taken Auschwitz survivors and you would have put them on a boat and said, "Here's a desert, barren island. Good luck to you." That doesn't sound genocidal at all. Hey, man.
They're already on a desert fucking island, mate. They're already
Israel's
in the
not a
desert.
desert island.
Okay,
Israel's not a desert
they're
island.
already.
Is Tel Aviv a
They're
desert?
already in the desert. They're
Oh,
already
okay,
in the
is Tel
desert.
Aviv okay? Is Tel Aviv a desert?
The
No, it's
entire
not.
Middle East is a fucking desert.
No, it's not. Lebanon's not a desert.
Pretty fucking close to it. We're being
There's
honest.
massive.
Oh, it's close to a desert.
Oh, okay. So, dude, you're the one who's got these retarded views where you actually just completely wipe out like the entire swaths of human civilization. You just go, oh, the entire Middle East is a desert. So what does it fucking matter if we just put people on a desert barren island? You've got fucking insane anti-human ideas here.
No, you're the only one who's anti-human, Drew. You're
Oh,
fucking
okay. You're
liberal.
the only person
Liberals
who's
are anti-human.
the only person who's consistently advocated extermination of millions of people in this chat is you, my friend. You were literally your plan, your great plan to stop Israel from being created was you take Auschwitz survivors and you plop them on a fucking desert island, like Hitler's Madagascar plan, and you think this is a humane option.
Wait, Hitler had the Madagascar plan?
Yes, that was Hitler. That was Nazi.
Wait, a minute ago you talked about Hitler being a Zionist. How do you not know about the Madagascar plan?
I know he sent them to Palestine, or he sent some of them to Palestine.
No, he didn't, dude. No, he didn't.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. He
Hitler
deported
worked
some
with
of
the
them
Arabs to try to
Palestine.
kill the Jews, bro. Do you know what the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem was?
Do you know what he spent World War II doing? He was spending World War II in Berlin, putting out radio broadcasts in Arab language to people in the Middle East, telling them to go out and slaughter the Jews. That's what the Grand Mufti.
Sending there. That he was sending there.
Hitler was sending Jews to Zionists? No, it wasn't. Once the Holocaust started, they didn't let anybody. You know. Here's an actual fact. Okay, here's a fact. Hey, Casey. Here's a fact. Here's a fact. During the Holocaust, Amin al-Husseini, the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem, the leader of the Palestinian nationalist movement at the time, he was aware of the Holocaust because he wrote in his book that Himmler had actually informed him of the Holocaust at its true extent. He knew what was happening in the death camps. He actually visited some of them. And then when he found out that there was a bunch of Jewish children that were trying to leave Hungary and might go down to Palestine, British mandate of Palestine, he wrote to the Nazis saying, take these Jewish kids, put them in the death camps in Poland. What do you think of that?
Well, that sounds terrible.
Does it sound like Israel? Does it sound like Hitler wanted Israel and he's stopping them from going there?
I was talking about prior to the Holocaust, to be clear. Once the Holocaust started, obviously things changed. I'm talking about prior to the Holocaust, back at the start when it was just deportations.
Oh, okay. It was just deportations. That was a well, look, I understand you have an affinity for Hitler's.
I'm talking about.
I want to say, right, like I know you have an affinity for Hitler's early deportation policy of the Jews because that's exactly what you want to do to the Jews who are currently living in Israel.
I don't have an affinity for anything Hitler did.
Oh, okay. But you just liked you didn't mind the deportations prospect, the early deportations.
I mean,
okay.
Hold on, would you have been happy with the Jews staying in Europe?
I wish they were able to escape Hitler, of course. Doesn't mean I support Hitler's deportation program.
That's not.
Hey, you know what's a fact, Casey?
I'm not saying I supported the deportation program.
Casey, you know what's a fact? If the Arab nationalists hadn't rioted to stop Britain from allowing Jews to visit, and so the Arab nationalists rioted in mandatory Palestine to stop the British from allowing Jews to settle in mandatory Palestine. If it wasn't for the Arab nationalists, hundreds of thousands of Jews who were living in Europe may have been able to escape the Holocaust. They may have been able to escape the Holocaust by fleeing to mandatory Palestine. But the Arab nationalists rioted in mandatory Palestine, and they forced the British to stop Jews from moving to British mandate of Palestine.
Because the people who were in charge of the migration wanted to form an ethno-state in Palestine.
Oh, okay. So it's better that the Jews died in the Holocaust then?
I'm not. No, I wouldn't say that.
Okay, I'm glad you didn't say that. Okay.
I would say that. Yes, sure. Have the Jews like move to Palestine, but don't form a fucking ethno state.
Oh, okay. All right.
Don't form an ethno state and kick the Palestinians off their ancestral land.
Hey, Casey, can I ask you, what happened what happened with the Hebron massacre? So why is it the case that Arab nationalists slaughtered dozens of non-Zionist Jews who had actually lived in Hebron for 8-9 generations since the medieval times? Why did they go out and kill these Jews 20 years before the state of Israel was ever established?
These Mizrahi Jews.
I mean,
Like
there were Sephardic Jews who were living in the town of Hebron, which is now in the West Bank today. They're living there for 8-9 generations from medieval times onwards. In the early 1920s, Arab nationalists slaughtered all of them, even though none of them were Zionists. Why did this happen? And do you think maybe that might have led some Jews to become more... Okay, well, you don't know about it, of course. Do you think maybe that might show you why some people who already living there might have become more receptive to Zionist ideas, considering non-Zionist Jews were being slaughtered by Arab nationalists?
I could probably see that.
Okay, so do you think maybe you should do a bit more reading into the foundation of the state of Israel, maybe?
Oh, I would definitely say I need to do more reading into.
Okay, well, that's good. I agree.
Casey, can I ask you something?
I've read Elon Pape's primer book. It did mention the Hebron massacre. I'd have to go back to it. I have a fucking terrible memory.
Okay,
good for you.
Well, it's good. Well, good. That's great.
Do you think right now Israel is an ethno state?
Broadly speaking, yes, Jewish ethno state. That doesn't necessarily mean just Ashkenazi. I mean, that's but I didn't get that because so many were killed in the Holocaust.
Do you know how many Arabs live in Israel currently?
When you say Arabs, is that including Mizrahi Jews?
No. This is literally just Arab Israelis, like 2 million Arab Israelis that are basically ethnically Palestinian, and they are citizens of the state of Israel.
Right.
Are you there, man?
Yeah. How many? I asked.
Well, there's 2 million, and they've actually been part of the government. So, for example, the Naftali Bennett government literally had an Arab minority party in the government coalition. Does that sound like an apartheid state to you?
Or ethno state?
Let me rephrase it for you, right?
Imagine it sounds like a concession at Belize. That sounds like a concession.
Let me reformulate this for you, Casey. Imagine that an Australian government had a minority Indigenous Australian interest party that was formed only of Indigenous Australians. Imagine they were part of a coalition government in Australia. Would you say that would then make Australia an ethno state?
No. I mean, not in the modern day. Australia isn't an ethno state anymore.
Okay, so Israel's not an. So Israel isn't an ethno state. You agree?
I mean, it's not an ethno state yet,
or ever.
But it hasn't. So it hasn't been for the past 80 years, then. Because if you say it isn't yet, if you're saying
it's not gold, Drew.
Okay, so let's just clarify though. If you say it's not yet an ethno state, that means for the past 80 years it hasn't been.
I mean, would you have called South Africa an ethno state during apartheid?
I mean, it was run as it was obviously run by a minority white population the government was an ethno state in South Africa. I mean, that's actually probably the wrong terminology, to be honest, because
it was an apartheid state.
Apartheid. Yeah, it's different. Apartheid versus ethno state is very different. Ethno state is like an 100% the same ethnicity running the whole place, right? And it's just the country only for that ethnicity. Whereas South Africa was an apartheid state because the majority were black, but the minority were ruling over them.
Do you think Israel is an apartheid state, Casey?
I mean, yes, I do.
Okay, based on what?
South Africa made that accusation for a reason.
Okay. Okay, so everything the South African government ever says is correct. I mean, they're literally supporting Russia
You're
in
not
Ukraine.
saying that.
Okay.
Not
You are
saying
so what's the actual evidence that Israel's an apartheid state?
Other than South Africa said it, because the South African government also supports Russia in the Ukraine. So I don't really like the South African government.
Well, actually, Drew, on South Africa, do you believe the white genocide myth?
I mean, like, what do you mean by that? Do you mean
The
that?
idea that
Do you mean that
that-
there are? Look.
the
Let me clarify for you.
Afrikaners
I'll
are
explain to you.
the Afrikaners are being killed by the South African government.
Oh, look. Not killed by the South African government, but there are genocidal elements in South Africa who are advocating race-based violence against white South Africans, and there has been race-based violence against South Africans.
As a sort of as a sort of retaliation for apartheid, and I'm aware.
Oh, okay, so that's justified then. So that's justified. So race-based violence today is justified.
I'm not saying no.
Okay.
I was saying I was saying the existence of that is understandable given apartheid, but that's not to say it's justified.
Oh, okay, so because apartheid, therefore it's understandable.
Understandable is different to justified. Understandable is different. No, I'm saying the sentiment is understandable,
Okay.
not justified.
Well, not really, because like Nelson
Understandable
Mandela
is different to justified.
No, Nelson Mandela didn't say that it would be understandable for black South Africans to go and just slaughter white South Africans. So I don't know why you're saying that.
Understandable doesn't mean good or justified.
Okay.
To be
Well,
clear. when I say understandable, that doesn't mean it's good or justified.
so going back a tiny bit, do you
Or
actually have any
expected.
evidence?
Expected would probably be better.
Do you actually have any evidence that Israel is an apartheid state?
The way they treat Palestinians as second-class citizens.
Are you saying Israel, within Israel, Palestinians or Arabs
Within Israel.
with Israeli like passports are treated differently in the law? Like,
Well, isn't there a law that like Jews are first-class citizens and everyone else is second-class?
What? But Israeli Arabs have the same civil rights as Jewish Israelis. They can all vote. They can vote. They can form parties. There's an Arab Supreme Court judge in Israel.
I mean, I'd probably argue that Israelis don't really have many civil rights since October 7th.
What?
I've seen footage of people, actually even ultra Orthodox Jews who oppose action in Gaza being beaten up by Israeli cops.
I mean, this is just obfuscation. We're talking about, do you think that the fact that there are Arab minority parties and Arab judges, doesn't that kind of debunk the whole apartheid argument?
I mean, not apartheid in the same way, but
So it's not apartheid. Okay, we're glad we agree.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Good to know. Good to know. Is that it, Casey? Do you have anything else to argue?
I still think you should. I should be like, Drew. What do you care about more, Ukraine and Israel or Australia?
I mean, I don't understand. I'm an Australian citizen who cares about issues around the world. What's wrong with that? I mean, you care about Iran. You're crying that Iran lost the nuclear bomb. Like, you're crying that why I could say the same thing to you.
Okay.
Do you care? Do you care more about Australia? Why? If you care about Australia, why the fuck are you crying over Iran not getting a nuclear bomb?
Crying over Iran not getting a nuclear bomb.
That's what you're doing right now.
You're
crying that Israel attacked the nuclear program.
About attacking Iran unprovoked.
Yeah, you're crying again. You're crying that Iran doesn't get a nuclear bomb. But I could say to you, why do you fucking care? You're Australian. Why do you care about Iran not getting a nuclear bomb? Go over and fucking fight for Iran.
I mean, because I don't support the Iranian state.
Okay, yeah, but you're saying you're asking, why does Drew care about geopolitics when you also care about geopolitics?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I'm not saying why does Drew care about. I'm not saying why does Drew care about geopolitics.
That is what you said.
No. Said like to be clear, Drew. Do you think that Australia should be sending weapons to Ukraine and Israel?
To Ukraine, yes. I don't think it's really Australia's
I
place
don't think we should be sending them to. I don't think we should be sending weapons to Ukraine.
I absolutely do, because Ukraine is fighting.
I think we should be. I think we should be staying out of it.
Just staying out of it then. Okay, then let's stay out of it when Iran loses its fucking generals. Then who gives a fuck? I'm sad then. Wow.
I'm not. Hold on, I'm not. Do you think I'm advocating for us to get involved on the side of Iran?
Well,
No.
you're basically crying about it. You're basically crying about it, and you're saying,
Wait,
"No, this is so
because
upset. This is so upsetting."
Casey,
Because they were
like,
attacked
do you
unprovoked.
yeah,
And
well,
you're crying that Iran retaliate.
I'm not crying about that. I literally said I don't give a fuck. They retaliated. It's a shit retaliation. They didn't fucking do anything. I'm fine. I'm not crying at all.
Okay, but like, I'm saying, like, I don't think we should be sending any weapons to anyone.
Sure. Okay. Fine.
I also think we should be pulling out of AUKUS because we are turning ourselves into a slave state to the Americans.
I mean,
okay.
before
So
we get into that,
yeah.
like, even if you think giving Ukraine weapons is wrong, what's wrong with like Drew saying that he wants to give Ukraine weapons? He can believe that and still be like, he can still support Australia and believe that we should give them weapons. Those aren't contradictory
Well,
positions.
but it sounds like he's caring more about Ukraine.
No.
How's he caring more
No.
about Ukraine? What?
No. I just think that it's an. I just think that it's an Australia. Let me explain to you. Yeah, yeah, of course. It's not an either or issue. I actually think it's good for Australia's defense to help Ukraine because it ties down Russia. It stops Russia from conquering other countries. Russia is allied to China, and China wants to ultimately threaten Australia. So of course I think it's good.
China doesn't want to threaten Australia.
Oh, okay.
China doesn't want to threaten Australia.
Oh, okay. Could you explain to us? Could you explain to us why they had live naval fire drills off the Israeli coast without informing us, so that the Australian government found out that the Chinese government was holding live naval fire drills off the east coast of Australia, basically a simulation of blockading Australia in the war.
They're trying.
They found out. They found out. Guess how they found out? Guess how they found out? Casey, guess how they found out? They found out because passing Australian pilots learned at the last minute and they had to divert their planes. So they didn't even inform us. So tell us why. How is that not an aggressive action?
No, I didn't say it wasn't. But we started it by choosing closer military ties with the Americans.
Oh, we started it. Okay, dude.
Rather than neutrality.
Wait. Do we not have? Wait. Do we not have?
I fucking hate all.
Wait. Are we not a sovereign nation?
We chose. Yeah, we chose our foreign policy.
Yeah, if we want to choose to ally with America, isn't that our prerogative? Yeah, if we want to choose to ally with America, isn't that our prerogative and not the Chinese?
Oh, sure, but if that's going to happen,
then why are you saying that we chose to?
Then we pose a threat to China.
So you're happy that Australia? This is so funny. This is so funny. You're saying, "Oh,
I'm not happy that we pose a threat to China." I'm not.
Yeah, let me say this. Hey, Casey, let me say this. You were going on about it. Oh, Drew, you're so not patriotic. You support Ukraine and Israel over Australia. And then meanwhile, here you are defending China, doing live naval fire drills off the fucking coastline of Australia.
I'm not defending that. I'm not defending that.
Because it was our fault. You were saying it's our fault.
Because we threatened them.
Okay, yeah. So you're on the side. You're siding with the Chinese government here over Australia because you're saying we deserved it. We deserve to have the Chinese Navy come down off the east coast of Australia and do live fire drills off the coast of Australia.
I'm not saying we deserved it.
How are we threatening China by existing?
It was expected.
You're saying we're threatening China by existing?
No, not by existing. By
allying with America.
Military deals with the Americans.
Hey, Casey. We had an alliance with the Americans in World War II when America was saving China from Japan. We've had an alliance with America for 80 years now. It's not China's decision to end our alliance with America.
I mean, that was a defensive war for Australia, was it not? Because Japan was actively trying to.
Yes, in that war, America was defending both China and Australia. America helped China so much in that war, and then now today, China under the Communist Party says no one's allowed to have an alliance with America, even though isn't that hypocritical?
Because America is trying to violently maintain global dominance.
Oh, so
America isn't trying to invade China
now.
America isn't even trying to invade China or anything. What are you talking about? Do you think America wants to invade China?
Well, they want to go to war with China eventually, definitely.
No, they don't. Dude.
To ma-
Are you fucking
to
watching this?
maintain unipolar.
Look,
To
no,
maintain
they're not.
unipolar order.
Dude,
They want
dude,
to,
watch
maybe
everything.
Trump doesn't. Maybe Trump doesn't. Maybe Trump doesn't.
But do you
But
think
Biden
Biden
did.
wanted to go to war
Biden
with
did.
China? You think Biden wanted to go to war with China?
They didn't want to go into an immediate war. Like, I mean,
Then what are you
okay,
talking
okay.
about?
I mean,
You're
I've heard an
saying
argument.
you're saying that China is justified in threatening us because America is going to invade them, even though there's no evidence of that.
Not saying America. It's a Cold War. It's a Cold War. It's what it is. Like, we're living through a second Cold War.
And
Okay.
you think
And
it's okay that
okay.
China is threatening
I
us?
think
that-
I believe we should be diplomatically.
Hey,
neutral.
Casey. Hey,
That will
Casey.
keep us out of any
Hey,
shit.
Casey.
Like,
Hey, Casey.
like how does
Hey,
that go for
Casey.
Switzerland?
If it's a second Cold War, hey, Casey, if it's a second Cold War, I'm on the side of the Americans.
If it's a second Cold War, I choose to stay neutral so we don't get fucking invaded.
I feel like that makes you more likely to get invaded, if anything. What do you mean?
Exactly.
No, because we are not posing any threat, and China has not stated
Oh, okay.
imperialist
Oh,
ambitions against Australia.
Oh, that's so
Whereas
true. That's
the
so true.
US
Hey,
Whereas the
were the
US, on
Tibetan?
the other
Hey,
hand, has sued
hey,
our government before.
Casey, were the Tibetans posing a great threat to China when the Chinese invaded the Tibetans? What threat did the Taiwanese pose into China today?
I'm not saying
Hey,
China.
hey,
doesn't have
Casey.
any
Hey,
imperialist
Casey.
ambitions at
Hey,
all.
Casey. Hey, Casey. When China invaded Vietnam to punish Vietnam for overthrowing Pol Pot, what was that? Was that a great act of anti-imperialism? Any
I'm not
response to that?
saying. I'm not saying China doesn't have any imperialist ambition.
You said that
Of
3
course they
minutes
do.
ago.
You
dude. We
said
all had
those
had
verbatim.
this.
Of course they
you-
do. Not against Australia. Not against Australia.
Oh, okay, not against Australia. Okay.
Their imperialist
hey.
ambitions are confined to Asia.
Oh, okay. Is that why they gave a list of 14 demands basically to Australia, demanding that we basically become a vassal state to them? Otherwise, they're going to put massive sanctions on our economy. That wasn't an act of aggression at all.
Because I don't see any. I haven't heard anything about this. I don't see any sanctions.
Oh, you've never heard about the 14 demands? Then don't even talk about Australian geopolitics because that was one of the most important events of the past 5 years.
Can you send me a source for this?
You just missed the entire time when China put $30 billion in sanctions on Australia because we didn't immediately comply with their list of demands on our government. And you just missed that. And then you missed this massive event.
What were the demands? I wasn't into politics 5 years ago. I was a child 5 years ago.
Okay. Well,
How old are you?
Okay, correction. I was 18 5 years ago, but I was still fucking delusional.
Dude, 5 years ago, I was fucking 20. I'm barely much older than you. 5 years ago, I was fucking like 20.
I wasn't into politics when I was 18. I was a fucking delusional mess at 18.
And you're not now.
I was a delusional mess 5 minutes ago.
Okay, you're
No,
not
I'm
a
not.
delusional mess anymore. That's good to hear.
I literally believed the world was at risk of being fucking destroyed by some celestial dark entity that didn't exist 5 years ago. I was a delusional fucking mess 5 years ago.
But now you just think that you're gonna beat Bob Katter and his own electorate in 3 years time.
And form a communist
I
government.
don't think I will. I don't think I will. And to be fair, if I form government, it won't actually be a communist government. It would be at best social democratic.
Okay, right.
But this isn't delusional that you're gonna beat Bob
Yeah.
Katter and his own electorate.
I love the open communist going.
I won't beat him first time around. I won't beat him first time around.
Second time around?
I guarantee I
you'll
won't beat him first time around.
Oh, well, I can
I don't
guarantee
know.
that too, but that's not really anything.
I don't know, but I've got time to keep trying.
When will Australia be communist? Ballpark figure.
That's up to the working class. It's up to the Australian workers.
Okay, right. What if they just?
But
choose not to?
I don't think we should take. Well, then, I don't know. What's the other option? They choose fascism.
No,
you think the alternative is fascism? We can't just remain how we are now.
I mean, it eventually becomes one or the other, inevitably.
Oh, okay, so true.
And you're not the delusional one here, just to be clear.
I'm the person who knows how capitalism works.
Oh, you know how capitalism works. Okay, dude.
The contradictions of capitalism lead to either revolution or fascism.
Okay,
Or
why is it the case?
Or fascism leads to collapse.
Interesting.
Hang on.
So how long until we become fascist?
Hey, Casey, can you explain?
I don't know.
Hey, Casey, can you explain why is it the case that there hasn't been fascism in Western countries for the past 80 years? Instead, there was just social democracy.
Because the contradictions hadn't taken shape yet. Like America was a rising power. There was an attempt. There was an attempt to make Britain fascist, but the war, like the beginning of World War II, halted that.
Okay.
But like in America, while there were like Nazi movements and whatnot, America was still a rising power. It hadn't become a preeminent power yet. Whereas now, when America is on the decline and those contradictions are beginning to take effect, what happens? A fascist comes to power.
You think America is fascist now? It'll be a fascist country.
We might actually be literal days away from it. We'll see how those King's
So
protest goes. He seems to be on the brink of invoking the Insurrection Act. We'll see how the No King's protest goes.
What do you think? What do you think currently is a more fascist country, China or America?
How is China fascistic? They're a Marxist Leninist.
The concentration camps.
Leninist government.
You think China is Marxist Leninist?
Fascism isn't when concentration camps.
Wait,
Hey,
do you think China is communist right now?
I don't think they're communist.
You think they're Marxist Leninist?
Officially, but in practice, it's just capitalist.
You don't think China is more fascistic than America right now?
No, they're an authoritarian state. They're not.
They're an
Casey.
authoritarian state with like a leader and like full control over many aspects of society.
Hey, Casey, can I ask you a question, Casey? Which country allows independent
Fascism
trade
isn't
unions?
when dictatorship. Fascism isn't when dictatorship.
Casey, let me ask you this question. Which country currently allows independent trade unions to form and advocate? China or America?
Neither.
Oh,
Neither.
No, that's not true. That's literally not true. There are literally independent trade unions in America right now, but it's banned in China.
Yeah, there are. But do you think that the ruling class likes that?
Wait, what are we talking about? If they like it, we just ask if it's possible.
They fight against it every day.
Yeah. We're not asking if they like it. We're asking do they allow them to form, and they do allow them to form.
They try their hardest not to.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's not an answer. But
Casey, in what country is it legal to form a trade union? China or America?
Well, America. And what? There are state unions in China. Let me guess.
Well, nobody can form their own
state unions in China.
You can't become a part of an independent trade union in China. It's illegal. It's banned. Your union has to be registered with the state. You have to be part of like a Chinese Communist Party union.
Yeah,
it's literally illegal. Yeah. It's illegal to do this.
So I mean,
the fact that there are unions at all in China, whether state owned or otherwise, already means communist because that presupposes the existence of wage labor.
Casey, you don't think China's fascist? Can you give me an example of a fascist country today, or are there none?
America soon, maybe. If he invokes the Insurrection Act, because that will give him the ability to postpone or like stop elections.
You don't think Russia's fascist?
I'd probably say Russia's fascist. Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Okay, that's good. But you don't support arming Ukraine against the fascist state that's trying to invade them.
I don't think we should be sending money to Ukraine because it doesn't have anything to do with us. No weapons to Ukraine because it doesn't have anything to do with us.
Hey, what do you think? You're a communist. What do you think of the Spanish volunteers in the 1930s? Was that something it didn't have anything to do with us? We shouldn't have fucking supported the fight against Franco.
Well, Well, I mean, if an actual communist society was providing assistance, then sure.
Oh, okay, dude, okay.
But
Wait, so-
at the end
Genius.
of the day, the working class of a nation need to liberate themselves. They cannot just be liberated.
Okay, dude. So
Wait,
if a
The
communist,
working
if
class
a
of the
communist state,
nation need to lead the revolution themselves.
so let's
Okay.
clarify: if a communist state supported Ukraine and gave them weapons, you'd support it, but you don't support any other government defending Ukraine.
Ukraine's not trying to do a communist revolution.
Oh my god! But
The Ukrainian
You
working
just-
class is not
you-
trying to do a communist
you,
revolution.
you just said that Russia's a fascist state.
No, I said
It-
that a communist. I said that like a communist country, because there's no state, communist country should support other communist revolutions.
Okay, so sorry to the Ukrainians. You have to accept being raped and murdered by Russia because nobody has achieved full communism yet. Nobody's been able to abolish the state, achieve communism, and then send you arms. Ukraine just has to keep dying. Everybody in Ukraine has to keep dying until somebody in the world is able to establish communism, which is your beautiful definition of no state, no class, no money. And then at that point, somebody can give them arms. But until that point, everyone in Ukraine has to keep dying. Okay, beautiful. Let's just wait for the inevitable
it's not
communist
giving
revolution
the
1,000
Ukraine.
years away.
No, it's not giving the Ukrainian army weapons. If the Ukrainian working class want to revolt against their government, establish communism in Ukraine,
This is so
then they will
so-
receive support.
This is actually so fucking retarded.
wait, so-
Russia is invading them right now, and you're expecting the Ukrainian working class to do a revolution, a communist revolution, while Russia's invading them, which you admit is a fascist government. How the fuck does that work, you fucking retard?
Wait, Casey, do you still think Israel is a fascist country, or do you take that back?
Yes, because there are far right elements in control.
Okay, so Israel's a fascist country, but China isn't.
The Chinese Communist Party is not a far right fascist party. They are a nominally Marxist.
Oh, because they've got
party.
communism in the name. They've got communism in the name.
No,
So they ban trade unions.
the
They ban
official-
trade unions.
the official
Let's look at it.
ideology is Xi Jinping thought, which is an evolution of Dengism. It's an evolution of Dengism. That is just capitalism. That's just capitalism. That's capitalism. China's just
So-
capitalist.
I remember
Dengism
you
is
told
not some fascistic ideology preaching
Yeah.
radical nationalism and like extermination of people who aren't Chinese.
Yeah.
Like
well, that's not what
Well, that's
fascism
what they're doing to the
necessarily
Uyghurs.
is,
But that's what they're doing to the Uyghurs right now.
yeah, that is what they're doing.
no, they're not.
Oh, okay, they're not. Based on what?
Wait,
No,
is there
they're
a Uyghur? Is there any Uyghur genocide?
It's not a genocide.
Okay, but what's happening in Gaza is
Yes, because China is not exterminating Uyghurs.
Hey,
They're
can you
fix-
explain to us?
They're fixing.
explain to
they're
us-
Actually,
hey.
they're actually developing their areas and
Hey, can I
and
ask you
setting
this
up
question?
schools to educate
Hey,
their children.
Hey, Casey, can I ask you this question, right? Why is it the case that in per capita terms, the fertility rate in Gaza during the middle of what you allege to be a genocide, a war, is higher than the fertility rate for Uyghurs in Uyghur lands in China? Why is that the case?
I mean, fertility rate fluctuates. Like, I mean, Arabs in general have a pretty high fertility rate.
Oh, okay. Could it have something to do with the fact that the Chinese government is literally basically sterilizing Uyghur women and trying to forcibly lower the birth rate? So it's actually the case that the fertility rate in Gaza during this horrible war is higher than the fertility rate for Uyghurs in China. Why is that the case? It doesn't make sense to me.
Have you got a source for that claim that they are sterilizing Uyghur women?
Yeah, there's dozens of sources.
From where?
I'll
Can you
get it up.
provide
Okay, I'll
them?
get it up. Yeah, sure. I'll get it. I'll get some up.
while he's bringing it up, do you still think? I remember you said Ukraine was a fascist country. You don't think that anymore, right?
No, that one. I've walked back that one.
Right,
Oh,
that's
okay.
good.
One
to know.
because
Good to know.
I have seen a more nuanced Marxist analysis of the situation in Ukraine. than the
Ah,
one-
beautiful. Thank God. Thank God for the
A more-
Marxists. Thank God for the Marxists.
a different, like it's a more nuanced than the pro-Russia Midwestern.
I couldn't say that it's bad for Russia to invade and rape a neighboring country until I read a retarded Marxist analysis on the internet saying it's bad. Thank you. Thanks. That's great.
Mean, hold on. I still never justified Russia's invasion, to be clear.
Oh, okay. That's good.
I never justified Russia's invasion.
Drew, it's amazing that I agree with you and still get annoyed every time you say, "Hey, Casey."
Hey, Casey, look at the screen. Can you see it? I think Drew accidentally left. Wait. Oh, he's back. He's rejoining. No.
Wrong thing. Sorry, I clicked the wrong thing. Hang on. Okay, let's read this. Let's read this together. Birth rates in Xinjiang fell by almost half in the 2 years after the Chinese government implemented policies to reduce the number of babies born to weaker and other Muslim minority families. The figures show unprecedented declines, which were more extreme than any global region at any time in the 71 years of UN fertility data collection, including during the genocides in Rwanda and Cambodia. Holy fuck. Do you have any comment on that? That's pretty crazy, isn't it?
Still reading. The first-person accounts. We got any of those first-person accounts? Mentions first-person accounts of. Is there any? What's that one? What's that video there?
The birth rate across the region fell by nearly half in the 2 years between. Do you think that's normal for it to drop by half in 2 years?
Do you want to play that interview there?
Okay.
Ben her daim unutup kalganım yok. İş kılıp ben 2 gün özlemine bakıyorum. Mesela hatırlayacağım yaşagandaki sıkıntım bilen 3. gün olgandılam. Bir xil keyfiyatim yaxşı olmaylam. Tonum yerim boşlan esleyme her daim. Hoş kalıdı, yedigini yok. Sen oylap durma daim. Aşırmışlar, namussuzmuşlar, şuruşka yol koymadı. Şunun üçün ben bu ismimni olsun, bu namını çıkartmışlar. Zerratan kabul kılaydı, şu karar keldim. Ben de şu dastlabda 2017 2 ayının 28 günü şu bir Türk'üm savadsızlarni yig'ib berdik, savadsızlarga Hanzu tilda, ya'ni davlat tilda ishlar dars o'tsa, ishlar davlat o'rgatsa. Lekin bu ishlarni hech kim
I do want to say to Chris, I'm so happy with this new setup for the streaming. It's a lot better.
bilmaysan, xizmatdoshlaring, maktab rahbarligi, atrofingdagi yaqin do'stlaring, tuqqanlaring, hatto yo'lishingim demaysan, ko'rgan, anglagan, bilgan hech qaysini shunaqa va'dalarni berib, majbur cho'qimlar bizga shuncha cho'ng besim bilan bir ishlar qilib qizimni tutib aka beralaymiz bu degan shunday qattiq yuqori besimlar bilan meni o'sha darsga evatdi. Shu darsga evatgandan boshlab.
Did you understand at the time that you were being asked to work in an internment camp, or did you just think that it would be a normal school or a normal training program? Did you understand what was happening in Xinjiang at the time?
Yo'q, qat'iy xabarim yo'q. Men uni bilsam, lekin bizga shunchalik va'dnomalarni yozdirib, qo'l qo'yg'izib, suruqlarni bostirib barmog'imizdan ishlab qilib ketganda men hayron qolgandim. Nima uchun savol dars vasi buncha yillar qilib ketganini deb o'zim hayron qolgan, lekin u kamplarga berib undaq o'g'lardirlar dars tushundim, men uxlab tushundim, xiyondim keldim ekanman.
But almost as soon as you arrived, it became clear what it was. Is that correct?
Albatta bilindi, chunki bizga yig'inlashganda muxtagan shu binoni oldiga kelib,
Just pause it for a second.
Tushib mashinada
Yeah.
ishlanilqida.
Yeah.
I should point out that just the use of internment camps as a term does show some bias. Like, I mean, really. No, okay. No. Hold on. Let me explain. I could feasibly describe U.S. private prisons as slave labor camps.
Holy fuck, dude! Holy fuck!
I'm
You're,
not
you're
saying.
watching a first-hand account of sterilization by the
Yep.
Chinese government, and you're going, "Oh, it's a little bit biased to say it's an internment camp where people are getting sterilized." You're fucking psycho, dude.
Do you ever watch like Schindler's
I
List
mean,
and
would
they're
you
like, we're
call-
gonna
would
ship the
you-
Jews to
would you
concentration
call-
camps, and you're like, huh, that's a bit of a biased description of the situation.
Oh my god, dude.
Do you ever do that?
I mean, one
Fucking
could
hell, dude.
also just describe it as a kind of prison. Like, I mean, I could describe.
Oh,
US
it's so much better.
slave
It's so much
labor
better to
camps.
have. It's so much better to have like genuine race prisons. Just put a million
Wait,
people
wait,
of a certain race into a
Casey,
prison for no reason.
Casey, was Auschwitz just a prison as well?
I mean, it could be described as a prison that was being used for immoral
Holy
actions.
Fuck.
That was being used for immoral actions.
It,
Oh,
no, it
moral.
wasn't a prison.
I'm pointing out
literally-
biased
it just
language.
straight
I'm
up
not-
wasn't a prison. It was a death camp.
I'm not defending this, to be clear. I'm not defending this. I'm just pointing out that
Oh, you're
biased
just asking
language exists.
questions. You're just asking questions.
If they are sterilizing women, that is obviously bad. I should point
Okay,
out
I'm
I
glad-
do not
thanks for
support the
saying that.
Chinese state. I do not support the Chinese state. I actually support the Chuang Collective.
What?
Communists fighting the Communist Party because they're traitors.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
either way, do you
Look
now
up
admit that
Chuang.
there is
Look
a?
up Chu.
Do you admit that there's a genocide going on?
Well, do you want to just keep watching this? Because I don't think it's gotten to much of the root of the point yet.
Okay.
elektronlik ishchilarni o'sha kirganda anadagi man bu qanday maktabda zodi mushuncha ular qattiq qamal qilingan deb hayron qoldim, lekin yana uning ichida qarsam u kamerning ichida anadagi derazalarning hammasi bunday qalay bilan qo'yatilayotganka shuni ko'rib shundan ko'nglim yerim bo'ldi, lekin o'zim yana tutib oldim, tutib olib sinib kirdim. Ashlaq chiqyotdi, ular sinibga kirib bordi, qarab shu yerda men ashlaq qarab turib o'zim shunchalik shu butun vujudim shu titrab ketdim, o'zimni sal chim tutib olmasam o'sha yerda shunday qattiq ko'nglim yerim bo'lib ketdi, lekin yana o'zimni kontrol qilib oldim. Shundan lekin assalomu alaykum desam bularimiz boshqacha kusurlashib ketgan keyin men xatoga qilibman deb darhol o'zimni o'ngshib darsini boshlab ketdim.
And while you were working at that camp, you yourself were forced to have an IUD fitted.
ishlayotgan mazgilimda shu vaqt solgan shu mahallada bizga to'pimiz va to'p.
Hey, Casey, do you think it's normal for religious Muslim women in minority regions in China to spontaneously all want to have IUDs implanted within them?
What's an IUD? Is that the bar?
Cool.
Turush qildi.
Yeah.
Is that the bar? Is it?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay. That doesn't.
Yeah, it
That
doesn't sound good.
seem right.
Doesn't it? Yeah,
No.
doesn't exactly make much sense, right? But
Kadrlar öymeye kirdi, erinmey. Çokum üzük sağısılar, anandan keyin tug'mas bo'g'dirdigan operatsiya qildirsizlar. 18-59 yoshgacha oralig'ida buni qilmasanglar bo'lmaydi. Shu jarayonda shu dars bergan vaqtlarimda men uzuk sog'izgan dastlabda. Uzuk sog'izib 10-15 kungacha men nimam to'xtamay, yaxshimay og'izatdim. 2018-yil yana sog'izib yana ishlab qoldim. Oxir 2019-yil 5-oyga kelganda anandan rasmiy tug'mas bo'g'dirish operatsiyasi qildim.
What was the experience like when you had the IUD fitted? Were there any Han Chinese women having them fitted? How was the procedure?
Biz borsak u yerga Uyg'urlar butunlay.
Oh, that's interesting.
Uyg'ur ayol qizlarni ko'rdim, shunchalik ko'p. Men aytganda 7 Adambek chiq boldiroq bering ada degan bo'g'ashqa men aytganda 7 dan 50 kishi berib bo'pti ekan men shayga. 50 borsam 3 rat bo'pti.
hey, do you think that's just all spontaneous, Casey? Do you think that's just all the Uyghur women and girls really wanted to get the bar all of a sudden?
Well, no, that doesn't make much sense.
Okay, so would you say, given the fact that fertility rates for Uyghurs are lower than Palestinians in Gaza, would you say that maybe it is a genocide what the Chinese government is doing to the Uyghurs?
Possibly, yeah.
Okay. But 10 minutes ago, you were sounding very confident when you said it wasn't. So maybe you need to study this stuff, man.
I did see a video talking about it from Hakeem, but
Yeah, but
obviously,
why make these claims about whether it's a genocide or whether this or this is happening when you really have no idea what you're talking about?
That's my question too.
It was my understanding that it was not.
Yeah, but your understanding was very bad.
Because you said that you
based
hadn't
on
studied
other
it.
sources.
Okay, what other sources though? Like this is the problem though, Casey. You're really confidently making these claims, but when we drill down into it and when we start investigating and look into this, then you start to admit, okay, I haven't studied this.
I mean, I haven't studied. Like, someone said, did someone put up a comment earlier saying red fascism?
That is what somebody said.
Maybe that's true. How prevalent is nationalism in China?
It's very strong. It's very strong. Like it's a very strong force.
Does it cross the line into ethno-nationalism?
Yes, very. I mean, what do you think they're doing to the Uyghurs here? Like they're doing this to the Uyghurs because they're a different ethnicity group to them.
Yeah, and they did the same to the Tibetans and like many other ethnic groups before them. So, yeah.
So, do you think this might look like China is fascist? Maybe.
Maybe.
Okay. Well, at least we moved you there. At least we moved you over the line.
We've got a Vietnamese guy here going.
I never said they were communist to begin with, though.
This guy Viet Tran is literally Vietnamese, and he says, "Dude, look at what the Han people say online. They're so ethno-nationalist," and that's my experience too. They're really hardcore race nationalists.
This is what communist countries always remind us: atheism can be just as bad or even worse than any radical religion.
I'm going to get up the UNOHCHR report Uyghurs.
So Casey, now your list of fascist countries is China and Russia.
Well, and Israel.
And Israel.
Oh, okay.
So the three fascist countries: China, Russia, and Israel. Do you know that Israel's a democracy, right?
Probably America real soon.
You know Israel is like a democracy, right?
They're not a liberal democracy, so even by your definition, no. Like,
I don't know. I think they. I thought they were a liberal democracy, but also
there's a state ideology, and it's not liberalism; it's Zionism.
I mean,
the state ideology is Zionism, not liberalism. So they're not
so
really.
True, dude.
So they're really an illiberal democracy.
I mean, even if you believe they're not a liberal democracy, is there many fascist democracies?
Read this. This is the UN report into the Uyghur. Read this. This is the UN report into the Uyghur. Almost all interviewees described either injection pills or both being administered regularly, as well as blood samples. Interviewees were consistent in their descriptions of how they administered medicines made them feel drowsy. One interviewee, for example, described the process as follows: "We received 1 tablet a day. It looked like aspirin. We were lined up in someone's gloves, systematically checked our mouths to make sure we swallowed it." Some also spoke of various forms of sexual violence, including some instances of rape affecting mainly women. These accounts included having been forced by guards to perform oral sex in the context of an interrogation and various forms of sexual humiliation, including forced nudity. The accounts similarly described the way in which rapes took place outside the dormitories in separate rooms without cameras. In addition, several women recounted being subject to invasive gynecological examinations, including one woman who described this taking place at a group setting which made old women ashamed and young girls cry because they did not understand what was happening. The government has firmly denied these claims, often through personal or gendered attacks against the women who have publicly recorded these allegations. And then we can show you what the government said about this. So this is literally this is the so-called Xinjiang. I'll get this up for you.
Casey, I'm curious, which country do you think is worse, Israel or China?
I mean, if they're both committing genocides, then they're both just as bad as each other.
Okay. Interesting.
Look at this. They actually attack the women in this. Yeah, they actually attack the women in this. It's actually amazing. They're talking about Reddit. They're attacking Reddit, saying Reddit's CIA. Amazing. And then they actually see these are the women. They're actually attacking the women who testified to rape. Actually unhinged, dude. It's actually unhinged. They literally go through one by one, and they literally attack all the women who've made allegations. That's really unhinged behavior. I'm glad you can see the reality of what China is doing.
Yeah, well,
I'm glad
I
we.
don't support it. Can you look up, Drew? I want look up what's it?
I do have to say it's midnight, so I am going to end this now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But look, what did you want me to talk about?
Just look up chuangcn.org, I think it is.
I know what they are. And I used to like when I was a Democratic
They're
Socialist.
anti-CCP communists.
I know when I was 20 years old and a Democratic Socialist, I liked chuang.org. I actually talked to them, a couple of them. They have articles saying that Xinjiang and Palestine are the same, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Inshallah, one day, Casey, you will become not a communist. You'll become based and pro-America and pro-West, like us.
I'm not. I will never be pro-America. America's committed far too many crimes.
I mean, we've convinced you of everything you've disagreed with us so far, like pretty easily. So I can't imagine it will be that more difficult.
I think it's more likely that I become like a flat anarchist. At this point.
Well, look, that would certainly be an improvement from the more unhinged things you've been saying. Anarchism's worse. Anarchism's a lot better than communism, in my view. But
I mean, anarchism is still communism. It's just It's just not Marxism-Leninism. But I'm not a Marxist-Leninist anyway.
All right. Okay, guys. Anyway, look, it was an interesting debate, Casey. I apologize for the personal attacks I did against you, but obviously it got very heated. You did say some things that sounded very genocidal. That's why I got angry. But look, at least I commend you for your courage on coming onto this program, debating. We can do another one sometime. I'm going to end it now because it's 12 o'clock. It's midnight here in Australia. I'll be streaming again tomorrow, guys. The Drew Pavlis Show. This was our first program with the new PC. It's so much better. But anyway, yeah. Listen, thank you, Casey. I apologize. I went a little bit personal sometimes, but yeah. But listen, it was obviously.
Can you just please delete that post?
The Sonic. Okay, I'll delete the Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes, please.
All right.
And
okay.
I will unblock you.
Casey, can I just offer some advice? Maybe don't be so so open about your sexual stuff in the future.
Yeah, you shouldn't, dude. It's weird.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Probably.
All right. I just deleted it, Casey. I recommend you don't post weird stuff like that anymore. But anyway, thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you, Casey. Thank you to Constable. It's a very good chat, and I'll see everybody tomorrow for episode 62 of the Drew Pavlis Show. Thank you. Signing off. God bless you all. The fortress of righteousness is rising. Beautiful. Beautiful.